the Maga Squad and their growing influence over the GOP, writing, for instance, in June, you published a very prescient article about the Maga Squad and their growing influence over the GOP, writing how they're, quote, spent the past year building their power, and now they're preparing to wield it. If McCarthy or any other Republican wants to be speaker, he's going to have to go through them, and he's not getting their votes without meeting their demands. So you wrote. Now that we've seen, well, that's what happened. What might be next for the MAGA squad and its grip over the GOP? You sort of intimated what was possibly going to happen in the future, in that we're going to go through the same debate about who's going to be their leader.
Yeah, well, and, you know, I think what we saw over the past week was that they were saying these things out in the open, members like Matt Gaetz, but Kevin McCarthy really either wasn't taking them seriously or didn't think he was going to need their votes. And what we saw play out is that he needs to take seriously their demands, and that they really have been studying the procedural rules and all of these things so that they are ready to exert their leverage. You know, they were studying the squad of the left. They were studying all of the tactics and procedures, and we saw them put those to work over the past week's worth of votes, and they're ready to keep doing this. So Kevin McCarthy is going to be operating with a sort of Damocles hanging over his head, whether it's in the form of that one-member motion to vacate that the holdouts secured, or whether it's all of these other concessions. They are going to be using those to, as they put it, enforce the terms of the agreement.
Welcome to another episode of RBN Live. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. What's up, Rome? What's up, Nick?
What's going on? What's going on, y'all?
What's popping? My friends, my family. We're here with my beautiful RBN brothers. It's gonna be a good conversation. And the squad, their humiliation session continues because they have been humiliated. And the spinelessness of the squad and the progressives have been exposed because this news story easily could have been done about the squad. But they didn't want that fight. We want that fight. God, can you imagine making headlines like that? The ability to bring an entire party to their knees? That was the political revolution. Wasn't it? The political revolution. What did that mean? Other than this, other than having the people in charge, the bosses, kicking, crying, and screaming at every one of your moves, and you look at them like, stay mad. Like that Bo Sean Hannity interview. He didn't give a fuck that Sean Hannity was mad. In fact, the more upset he got, the more she was filling the interview, the more she got into character. If only we had a defiant elected left like that.
And they took advantage, seeing that it's really a one-party system, but they playing by the two-party rules, and they was like, okay, well, shit, if we don't vote for him, he don't get nowhere. All we need is a couple of us, because everybody else gonna go for him, but we're not. And now we're seeing what it's shameful, but it's funny as fuck. I ain't gonna lie. It's funny, you know. I mean,
it is very funny.
Aside from the people dying, and you know, and aside from the people losing their house, their livelihoods, the jobs from their negligence, but it's just funny to see this shit play out. Not even they didn't even give it 10 years. They didn't even give it 20 years. So we died and got too old to even speak on this shit. Like, I remember this. So crazy.
And I want to ask something else to this conversation as well, because there's been a lot of talk about far right MAGA extremism, right? Oh my God, these people are far right MAGA extremists. Joe Biden puts MAGA to shame. You see how unserious mainstream political discourse is? They talk about far right MAGA extremists, as Joe Biden is funding ICE more, deporting records amount of people across the border. You have him doubling down and escalating Trump's trade policies against Cuba and against China. Trump put some pussy-ass tariffs on China. Biden said he's going to completely reworking decades of trade policies that even Trump and his people wouldn't touch. So you see how unserious mainstream political discourse is, where everyone, including AOC and the squad and progressive media, they repeat stuff like, "Oh my God, these MAGA rebels are the extremists in government," ignoring the fact that Biden is putting their entire caucus to shame. Biden took COVID relief money and gave it to the police. Joe Biden broke a strike, but they were talking about far right extremism from MAGA.
Right.
That's why we need to talk about the tactics, CJ, because they all right wing. They all far right. Biden is the most effective at it.
I think it's very eye-opening to show people how they are working together to deliver a right results, and the left is just playing left. They're just playing the role. But think about this. This is what the working class has done. We're teaming up with people who aren't willing to fight for the shit you need. They're only willing to bring you into their fold for you to fight for the things they're telling you to fight for. That's it.
Absolutely.
That's not a team. You're being used as a prop.
And look at the things that good afternoon, JB.
My boy JB was talking to my brother Awkward. Well,
Yes.
that was a great conversation, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But look, I just want to say, look at the things that they have been elected on. Same things that they don't speak on now. What have they delivered? What have they even tried to push through in the time that they have been in office? So, we can play tit for tat and whatnot, but Republicans are down there changing the face. Not Republicans overall, but a small minority of Republicans are changing the whole face of the Republican Party. They giving power back to the House to control and taking powers away from the House Speaker, I should say. It's crazy that to see these times, man. I never thought I'd see, Republicans talking about we're going to take $75 billion away from the defense. Like, if that's
you have right wing influencers that are like, hey, Joe Biden voters, if you guys want war so much, how about you enlist? Remember that? Like, that's the argument the left used to make against right wingers, against the George W. Bush coalition. JP, I'm gonna get you in here. I don't know how long you've been listening. But
I've been listening.
This MAGA squad is making headlines, and everyone is saying, they are hijacked the Republican Party, taking advantage of their slim margins. JB, this could have been us. This could have been the progressive left.
How embarrassing it is to be in the progressive caucus. How embarrassing at the fact that somebody like Matt Gaetz can outflank you on something that you're supposed to be supporting. How embarrassing that they actually were able to get concessions from the Speaker of the House. And instead, they're not calling McCarthy Papa Bear. They're actually saying, give us what we want, or we're taking the entire party down. And then they have the nerve to go, oh, well, look at them. They're in disarray. Is it disarray if the small minority is actually getting what they want? The right wing, that small group, the Freedom Caucus, they Joe Manchin their way in the House. So they're literally using the tactics of somebody like Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema in order to get what they want in the House. And when we brought this to them over a year ago, they were like, well, no, because if we do this, then it's actually going to be bad for us.
They will get bad press coverage. They'll be the mainstream media will be mean to the squad, right? That's what they were saying.
Look, if the mainstream media ain't mean to you, you ain't doing your job.
Who the fuck watched that shit anyway?
And you want to know what the squad is doing?
Nobody.
Of holding the Democratic Party hostage, like the MAGA squad is doing to Republicans. You see how they can organize time to put a selfie together, but they can't even vote as a block. You guys can do this. You can put selfies online together. You guys can brand yourself as this team, but you can't vote as a block to get concessions. You can't do anything.
And the president said that. She said they don't vote as a block.
Theater.
The
They
selfie
take time to
squad.
do this, but they can't vote as a block. Clown shit. As our friend Misty was replying here. I just want to share this because this is their priority. This is what they're doing instead of making enemies in power.
No, it's the selfie squad.
Selfie
You know,
squad.
yeah, they plan to do optics together, but that's all they're good at. They're just models for the Democratic Party. That's really what they are. Jamal Bowman, now Maxwell Alejandro Frost, AOC, Ilhan Omar. They are models for the Democratic Party. They're not actually trying to do what they said they were going to do. And you know what we call people who don't do what they say they're going to do? We call them corporate Democrats. What's the difference between them and the squad? Because if they're not doing what they said they're going to do, then they are basically corporate Democrats. And so for the same people who are talking about, oh, well, we need to get behind progressives, it's like, where? Where are the progressives? Because look, if you look around and you peer really, really closely, you don't see any progressives, because if they actually existed, then they actually would have done what the Freedom Caucus is doing now, but they don't.
Now they're trying to what they're trying to do, the crystal ball strategies to deflect, like, oh my God, look at all these horrific things they implemented in their deal making. And then you had Ilhan Omar that gave it away. They was like, they doing this investigation into the FBI and CIA. It's not actually not that bad. And they was like, Ilhan, shut the fuck up. They was Ilhan after that one. I'm gonna see if I can find that.
Hey, look.
Hey, Nick, I gotta say, you play the best Midwest white voice when you go, yeah, he says, yeah, I'm saying.
That was my voice when I used to sell cars.
That should be having me rolling when you do that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you because I mentioned it, and I know we freestyle in the beginning. We just having fun. I'm gonna show you guys.
And I have the Matt Gaetz video I want to play after you. Where this should have been the speech that somebody from the left should be calling out.
It actually works. But doing that video right after this one, it actually works really well.
Absolutely.
So let me show you guys this because I didn't know exactly where I wanted to fit this in a segment. I wanted to cover this. This is Ilhan Omar accidentally saying the quiet part out loud, right? So let's listen.
The obviously cuts to the Pentagon budget is pretty exciting for folks like me who are putting up amendments to do so. I also think
So Ilhan was putting up amendments to cut the Pentagon, and the right wing just showed her up. And like, no, this is how you get shit done. Why are you putting up these bullshit amendments? She just exposed herself as being ineffective.
Amendments that are controlled by the speaker. Remember, amendments that are controlled by the speaker, which means they're not going to be.
You can write what you want. You can write what you want, and this is their excuse of saying, "I tried." You know what I'm saying? When people clap back at their ass, they be like, "Look, I tried. I wrote amendments. They get rejected because of the establishment. They get rejected because of this and that. I tried to fight for you guys, but they know this shit ain't gonna go through, especially with Nancy Pelosi as fucking leader."
Yeah, so I'll play it from the beginning again so you guys can hear it. It's only 40 seconds, so let's listen to it and then we can react to some more because this says everything. Remember when Ilhan Omar tweeted out and she revealed the game before when she said it only takes 5 rogue progressive members of Congress, and then she pretends that tweet never exists. The boutique left, the NATO left, the anti-force to vote left, they pretend that tweet never exists with Ilhan explains how you will power. And then she pretend, now they just play dumb. That's how you know they're playing a role. That's how you know it's not an accident. So let's listen to it.
The obviously cuts to the Pentagon budget is pretty exciting for folks like me who are putting up amendments to do so. I also think the church style committee that they are thinking about to look into if there has been any violations of First Amendment rights of Americans by the FBI and others also interests me. So we'll see what ends up happening, and if the Republicans are able to actually be able to get anything done. The obviously cuts.
So Aaron Mate says, Ilhan says that some of the GOP concessions in the McCarthy standoff, namely putting the Pentagon budget and establishing a new church committee, are pretty exciting. But when Crystal was talking to Breaking Point, she was like, "Oh, be afraid! Oh my God, look at all these spooky things." But what are you guys reacting to this?
That's why she got ratio, because the people see through that shit. Like, I know, we all have our little Twitter echo chambers, Facebook echo chambers, YouTube, whatever. But some of those people are not even real. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of those people aren't real. So when you're dealing with people who's gonna actually tune in to listen to you talk and shit like that, you can see the ratio from people following from Twitter or Facebook to their actual YouTube page and whatnot. And when they come, the actual people come to see what you were talking about, and they see through that shit. Democrats are seeing through this shit. Brianna Joy Gray tweeted out something. I don't know where the thing was from, but it was from one of her haters. She leaked something from one of her haters. Like, I always hated her, but shit, turns out she's right. She's right, but everybody's seeing through that shit, and that's why she got ratio, and rightfully so. Stop lying to the people, and like you said, Nick, all these motherfuckers got an agenda. She worth $40 million. What else can she be doing here?
And I do want to say this as well. This is a great comment by John, and I'll pass it to you, CJ. The church committee will be great, but I doubt it will happen in a serious way. And as leftists, as Marxists, as an anti-institutionalist in the United States, we want that motherfucker completely abolished. We want their crimes to be completely aired. But anything that can politically hurt the CIA and FBI, anything that can expose the contradictions in capitalism, we should take advantage of. So anything that can be a shock, a seed. I like to plant seeds, and it should start to sprout on you motherfuckers after a while, right? This is what this could do. Even though we know this committee won't really challenge power, I do agree with that comment. It would be good to get the American people starting to sniff around and be more politically aggressive against the CIA and FBI. I think that's fair enough to say.
Us holding,
go ahead, CJ. Go ahead.
They not only with this holding, votes and the speaker hostage for the job, it would have not only got people ears and eyes on it, but it probably would have got the government be like, all right, we got to get more than one more party in here. We got to get one. We got to open up, because if they keep doing this, then we're going to stay held up forever. Every time somebody want to do this, small minority figure that they can just throw their weight around, because they know majority of us are going to vote one way. They know this. We all pay by the same corporations, et cetera, et cetera. It's not hard to see. And any small minority want to do this shit. No, we got to get at least another party in here, and we could have took advantage of that. But that's
we need normalize demonizing the FBI and CIA. Just make that shit normal as hell. Like the same way that we want police officers to resign because they don't have the prestige they used to. Those bitch ass cops. Oh my God, people don't look at me the same. And then if they retiring early, these are the cops that define themselves. We want to make being a CIA, FBI, being a cop. We want that shit to be demonized, and we want to pave the way for the next leaders, so it can be easy for them to like, yeah, fuck the FBI, fuck the CIA. Know what I mean? But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of, I guess we can cap off this intro section before we get to announcements here with this MAGA squad. And I saw that clip from Case Study QB, the intro where he talked about the MAGA squad, or coined the phrase, because I didn't hear it until I saw that video. But they referred to them studying the squad, but don't think studying somebody, you always study somebody to study them as they did something good. You can be studying how somebody failed. And that's exactly the study tip they got out of studying the squad. But let's listen to this speech. And we've played it before, but just point out some of the things that the left should be saying about, or should have said about, Nancy Pelosi on the floor as they were not voting for Nancy Pelosi.
Perhaps today, humble to a fault, maybe the right person for the job of Speaker of the House isn't someone who wants it so bad. Maybe the right person for the job of Speaker of the House isn't someone who has sold shares of themselves for more than a decade to get it.
You mean to tell me AOC couldn't have been more impactful if AOC was on the floor and she said maybe there's somebody who maybe somebody should be the speaker who has made over $100 million while in office?
According to the boutique left, though, and according to the Democratic Party, how they want people to behave, calling out Nancy Pelosi's corruption like that is uncivil, though, CJ. It's very mean to do that.
You just start the chaos.
Mama
We
Bear,
gotta look at that chaos, man. We don't do the chaos.
That's mean. We don't want to be mean, right?
So how is Matt Gaetz gonna work with Kevin McCarthy then? He said all of this stuff. Why can't they do that? You get
And
what
the
I'm
funny
saying?
thing is, what the progressives don't realize, they were like, oh my God, the squad be marginalized in the House. That was a lot of anti-force vote left was saying. I mean, that one argument that Sam Seaver was saying that you guys want the squad to disenfranchise themselves. No, it's the exact opposite. They just did a segment showing how these people are more powerful than ever. Meanwhile, the squad has been pathetically weak throughout the duration of the Biden administration. And there have been many mainstream media articles that have been explaining how Kevin McCarthy is the weakest speaker in U.S. history. So everything that the real dumb left, the anti-force to vote left said was proven false. Everything they said was the exact opposite. And that's why that's why they want you to end up be like, we gotta stop talking about this. They're so focused on talking about this. They want you to stop talking about it because they don't want you to realize how wrong the NATO left, the boutique left, the real dumb left actually was. So as a movement, as a working class that are trying to gain intellectual discipline, we need to look at past mistakes and learn from them. That is what I have done with old bad takes I used to have. That is what we should do as a movement. These people in positions of power in the progressive movement, they don't want that. They don't want this moment where we analyze where the mistakes where the progressive movement went wrong, because it will be exposed that they led the left off a cliff. They will lose their position in the movement because they're failure. So we need to look back at these moments. We need to study our enemies and people like Matt Gaetz and see why they're successful and why we are not. And the people who have no intellectual discipline, the real dum-dums with no intellectual curiosity, they are the people who wanted to just run our movement based on vibes. Just vibes, bro. Let's see what works. It doesn't work. It's all good. It's going to be all right. Fuck that. RBN, we talking about discipline. Let's learn from mistakes. Let's analyze our enemies. Let's see what they're doing correct instead of trying to confuse people, right? But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, so let's just play the video and get comments, and then we can move to announcements and get started.
Maybe Jim Jordan is the right person for Speaker of the House because he is not beholden to the lobbyists and special interests who have corrupted this place and corrupted this nation under the leadership of both Republicans and Democrats.
Why are they allowing the lane for Matt Gaetz, turd Matt Gaetz, to be the guy that says something like this? To me, that's huge. That on the floor, where every single person literally can be called out. Look at their faces as he says that. Look at this guy right here. He's like, God damn, you gonna call out everybody who's taking money in here? Matt Gaetz is willing to say this on the floor of the Congress about the speaker. Go ahead, Nick.
And to my theory, and I'll pass it to you, JB. To my theory, Matt Gaetz is allowed to say this because the same reason why he's allowed to speak out against Ukraine aid. Because he's the big goofball who had alleged sexual assault allegations and rape allegations on him, meaning him sleeping with a minor. And I said that's alleged. I haven't done that much research into that, but they put that guy out there. They put the guy with the bad reputation out there. They put the Lauren Boebert, the people like she barely won her race. Like there are people they put out there as the antagonists, and they're like, "You're allowed to say this." Meanwhile, the people with high approval rating, people like Bernie Sanders, the up and coming stars like AOC, they're like, nah, you motherfuckers are the protagonists. You're gonna get everything wrong. You're gonna cheer January 6th on. You guys are gonna push Russiagate. You guys are gonna push Ukraine funding. And then whenever people call out Ukraine funding, whenever people call out Russiagate, they be like, oh my God, look at you guys are repeating Matt Gaetz talking points. You guys sound like Tucker Carlson. You guys see this advanced PSYOP propaganda campaign they wage on us, so we can't speak the truth. But go, JB, I know you might want to chime in. I'll pass to you guys. Yeah. That's what I think is obviously happening.
Well, to answer CJ's question, why are they allowing this guy to come out and say all these things? It's because forced to vote is acceptable for people who are on the far right.
Yep.
Because it doesn't challenge the power of the corporations. It does not challenge the power of the oligarchs who employs them. So it's acceptable. It's like, well, he can call Kevin McCarthy out, but Nancy Pelosi cannot be called out by anybody like Jamal Bowman or Mondaire Jones or did Mondaire Jones? I think he lost. Anyway. I misspoke. But somebody like Pramila Jayapal. So they can't be called out because they know that the nation is more to the left than Congress. And because of that, then they don't want the attention to be more towards favorable things that the majority of the nation wants. So they have to go rightward, but there's that barrier, like I said before, that prevents you from moving further left.
Absolutely. All right, so a few minutes, gentlemen, and then we can move on.
Maybe Jim Jordan would be the right person for Speaker of the House because he wouldn't fight us when we try to get a term limits bill on the floor.
Maybe Nancy Pelosi is not the right person for Speaker because she won't fight us to put a bill of Medicare for all on the floor. You see how it could be the exact opposite? And why aren't they doing that? So they can... meanwhile, they're at the gala saying "Eat the rich." They're laughing to me. That's trolling. That's trolling to me. They're
fucking with you. You're right.
That kneeling shit. That shit was real trolling. They was laughing at black people for sure.
Yeah, AOC going on and talking about her nails. How this is a positive affirmation for her. They're trolling. They're
literally like, let's see what we can say to the working class, and they're still biased.
They're like, oh my God, they're liking and retweeting this. They probably laugh about. I can't believe these niggas are liking this. Oh, I got an idea. Let's do another tweet. Hey, what would Medicare for all mean for you and your family? I know they would like that one. They love. Oh my God, they retweeted it again.
$15 an hour do for you and your family.
Dude, they be trolling the shit out of us on social media.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap this up here.
Maybe Jim Jordan would be the right person because he wouldn't fight us when we try to put a balanced budget on the floor and vote for it. And maybe Jim Jordan is the right person because he would endorse the plan that was built by the Texas delegation to finally secure our border. Mr. Jordan said in his nomination that there are certain bills that we have to pass to fix the problem. The challenge is the alternative has been someone voting for the very bills that have caused these problems.
I think we can stop it there. He goes on and on. I'm going to leave it on a high note point because that point is so solid, is that how could the squad say that when they're also voting for those bills? They couldn't say any of that because they're also voting for Ukraine. They're also voting for all of these bills that's causing all of these problems, all of the military aid and everything. So I think we can wrap it there unless go.
I'm going to read the super chat and then you can do some announcement and then I can we can start with the Biden immigration story because we can start with the powerful substantive segment. I think it go really well based on the one we just did. Thank you for $5. Palsy Dad. It's like being anti-racist, sexist, homophobic. If you see these things happening and do nothing, you aren't anti these things. Very powerful thought, my friend. And CJ, I'll pass to you for announcements. And I'll get started, and there's going to be a lot of discussion with this conversation, a lot of receipts to share. So I feel like this is a good one to lead with. So CJ, I'll pass it to you for any announcements.
So quick announcement. So let's start with the first one because this takes the longest to do. Let's like the stream, everyone. We're at 338 people watching right now. Let's see where we're at in the likes. 163. So we could do another 150. So let's get to 325. Let's get to 325. Can we do that? Everybody hit that like button. Let's get to 325. And gentlemen, I don't know if you've seen the update of our subscriber count, but this was what it was this morning. 28,200.
Let's go. Let's go.
28,275. And as Nick just stated, we're trying to do, or where the goal is RBN to 30K, and that's the hashtag. We have a website. RBN is we're inching slow, but we're more methodical. So we do things, we're inching slow, but some people might say, oh, what took you so long? But the website is finally here. It's not completely done, but just wanted to make sure everybody is able to know they can go there. You can see the website address there. Something we completed yesterday, I want to give you an update on. We kind of changed the summit section. I'll come back here. Change the summit section to look a little more cleaner. So you can see our summit section. And then when you click on it is where you see the videos to each summit. Also chapters, we updated and got some more information on here because we know now we're shooting for March. Got a little flyer done. It says RBN or Revolutionary Blackout Network chapters launch March 2023. Then it gives the contact email for those that want to participate. Of course, our launch cities here. And then some of the goals. This is what I could remember from our conversations. We're going to add to this list. But some of the goals for our local chapters: building a community library. That's what we're doing out in Detroit. What I did is took what we're doing in individual cities, so it may not be in each city, and then added one list. So building a community library, diaper and baby supply giveaway, school supply giveaway, disability community outreach. And that's what I called what we talked about with you, JB, the remote sort of having webinars to give instructions.
JB stepped out for a little bit.
Right, but still, when he rewatches this, we had that conversation with him, Rome, about him doing webinars to help people through their disability applications. So that could be that's something that is going to be part of our local chapters. Feeding the poor and unhoused, housing activism. Sabby does a lot of that out there in Boston. Bill payment assistance. I want to do that in one of the projects in Long Beach. Just kind of help with help pay some of their bills. Nick wants to do some self-defense classes. Remote webinars, like I mentioned, and then all of us are kind of doing some citizen journalism, and we'll be adding to this list. But that's some of the stuff that we're going to be doing with RBN chapters. And then here's just another page where you can go and see some of our beliefs. Very, to the point on electoral politics, imperialism, capitalism, reparations, that sort of thing. So check out the website. We have a new email account also. So stop using that Gmail account. info@revblacknetwork.com is the email you can contact us on. We got somebody who's contacted us a couple of days ago about volunteering, and we just responded to them today. So if you're interested in volunteering, doing any sort of volunteer work with RBN, email us and let us know. In the subject line, put volunteer or volunteer work or something to that effect. And I pass it to you, Nick, for the first story.
So as I said last segment, I see the deeply unserious political discourse that's happening in the mainstream. And this is always picked up by quote unquote independent progressive media as well. Where it's, oh my God, look at these far right MAGA extremists. They brand Trump as this unique threat to democracy, as Joe Biden continues to put him to shame. As Joe Biden continues to expand all of Trump's major policy. Now, I want you guys to get serious about how our government works. What does Joe Biden really control? Is it legislation? Nope. He in control of executive power. He is the head of the executive branch. He is the commander in chief. Everything that he is directly responsible for, everything that the executive branch is about, he is doubled down on Trump policy, funding DHS more, doubling down on escalating against China, rewriting trade policies, giving weapons to the genocidal state of Israel, like funding NATO. Like, these are things that Joe Biden has escalated on Donald Trump. He gave COVID relief money, and he gave it to the police. He took COVID relief money and gave it to the police, funded the police more. The far-right MAGA extremist is in the government right now, in the executive branch. His name is Jim Crow Joe. That's how RBN differs. There's only a few people, and I say it's the Marxists, and the socialists, and the communists. We're the only people who's serious about the Overton window. You got two clown parties that fighting for control when they're gonna implement the same policies. They're competing about who. I hate China the most. Joe Biden is a China shill. No, Trump is a China shill. I would fund NATO more. No, I would fund NATO more.
You need to defund the police.
You want a weak border? No, I want to fund the border more. It's no difference between the parties. Ron, I know you want to go. You can try to make the first receipt, because I'm going to show the video from Democracy Now! And if this happened under Donald Trump, the same people who had Donald Trump derangement syndrome, who voted for Joe Biden, will be freaking out. This is a
Nick,
2-minute clip. Go ahead.
Let me insert this comment on your
go
Trump, what you just said about Trump here. So now you're for Trump. So this is a comment. This is a comment. Allow me, gentlemen.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is a comment. This is a comment for a person who is intellectually fragile, where they can't be in a room where somebody's having a conversation with somebody they may disagree, but that person is saying good things about the person they disagree. A person who is intellectually weak can't. It's like that really bothers them. You get what I'm saying? And this is the sort of response you get from that.
And Trump derangement syndrome killed the critical thinking skills of the liberal class. I still remember those people I was like, man, this dude pretty damn smart. Then they get Trump derangement syndrome and they became blithering morons, pushing Russiagate. We all seen it happen. Mm-hmm. And that is what it is. And I get a ton of people who have Trump derangement that go after me, despite the fact that they voted for a guy who's doubling down on all of Trump's policies. And one of my favorite questions I used to ask liberals, like these people, I would ask them this question point blank, and this get me blocked like 50% of the time. Ron, we probably see it. I'll ask these liberals on Twitter, like, who do you think done more damage to the black community over the last 25 years? Joe Biden or Donald Trump? And then some of them try to make the argument that Donald Trump in his 4 years of his weak presidency did more damage than Jim Crow Joe, the guy who's responsible for the crime bill, who literally deported more Haitians in 1 year than Donald Trump did his entire presidency. And we're not even talking about the crime, the bankruptcy bill, how he financially destroyed black and brown families. You guys voted for that. But you guys
Patriot Act,
the derangement syndrome.
Patriot Act, the credit card, situation, and student loan debt.
People vote for Joe Biden, but they want us to have Trump derangement syndrome. People vote for Joe Biden, they want us to have Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome. It's like, you guys are unserious. We know who our enemies are. When you look at the government, they are part of one machine that is about waging war against the working class and instilling white supremacy and waging war against the black and brown communities. That is what both parties do. And that is what my story I'm going to cover. I'm going to explain this in great detail in our next story. But before I get into that, I know you guys
JB, I think JB wanted to chime in.
Yeah, look, to that person who said that, all you need to do is just take a bag of Cheetos dust, throw it on Joe Biden, and you got Donald Trump. That's it. So when we're talking about how bad Joe Biden is because Donald Trump and Joe Biden are exactly the same. Yeah. So the funny part is, if we say something bad about Joe Biden, get your brain out of this binary thinking of if we're against the Democrats, then we have to be for the Republicans. That's how they get you.
They think they're part of a team, JB.
Because the thing is that, guess what? They may think you're a part of team red versus blue when really it's team people versus oligarchs. And right now you're rooting for the oligarchs, because if you're not rooting for one side, you're rooting for the other. That's like going to one of those KFC / Pizza Hut, double-sided restaurants, and then you go, oh man, I can't stand KFC, but I'm gonna go to the Pizza Hut side, and you're still ordering from the same people behind the same counter. How in the hell do you expect to go up against that entire restaurant if you're ordering either from one side of the restaurant or the other side from the restaurant? It's just like when I used to work for Dolly Parton's Dixie Stampede. Yes, I know. That was horrible. Look, I had to make money. Anyway, but back in the day, it was the north side versus the south side. Which side are you going to sit on? And guess what? It doesn't matter, because you still went to the same venue and you gave money to the same venue. It doesn't matter. So the same thing is whether it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden. Guess what? They're two peas in a pod. Wonder Twins, activate. So you guys need to get out of this binary thinking and thinking, oh, well, we're for one, then we got to be for the other or against the other. No. We're against both, because they both screw us all over. It's just Joe Biden's been doing it for longer.
And just full like the guy could have been being, if you were being sarcastic, the point still needed to be made. So if I used you and you were being sarcastic, apologies. But the point still needed to be made, because people do believe that. So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah.
So I want to get into the video that shows exactly what JB was saying, exactly what the message of this show is. And this is what the NATO left, the boutique left, they dropped their eye on the ball here, right? They used to tweet abolish ICE, hashtag abolish ICE all the time. How about the injustice of our immigration system? Now they're doing 100 reaction videos to Andrew Tate. Now they're doing videos about Ben Shapiro all the time now. The focus changed. Under Donald Trump, it was about state violence. Now these same people have no criticism of Joe Biden expanding DHS and ICE. AOC, no criticism of that. No crying at the border, no photo shoots. She's gonna talk about January 6th all day. She's gonna live tweet that. She's not gonna discuss the border crisis that we are responsible for because of our imperialism. Now let me show you guys this segment from Democracy Now! Where they do a quick explanation of this. I think it's a great video to start with to explain how Jim Crow Joe did it again. Jim Crow Joe strikes again, as I like to say when I do these segments. So let's listen to the short video.
President Biden announced Thursday the United States will begin blocking migrants from Haiti, Nicaragua, and Cuba from applying for asylum if they're apprehended crossing the U.S.-Mexico border outside of ports of entry. The asylum seekers will instead be expelled to Mexico without due process as part of an expansion of the contested Trump-era Title 42 pandemic policy. This comes as the Supreme Court set to decide Title 42's fate in its next session. Biden also announced a small number of Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Cubans will qualify for a program granting them temporary permission to live and work in the U.S. if they apply for the relief from their home countries and already have financial sponsors in the U.S. The announcement came just days before Biden's scheduled to visit El Paso, Texas, Sunday to meet with local officials. It'll be Biden's first trip to the U.S.-Mexico border as president. During his remarks Thursday, Biden made no mention of the harsh U.S. sanctions that have contributed to poverty in Nicaragua and Cuba, nor did he acknowledge the catastrophic legacy of U.S. interventions in Haiti.
My message is this: if you're trying to leave Cuba, Nicaragua, or Haiti, or have agreed to begin a journey to America, do not just show up at the border. Stay where you are and apply legally from there. Starting today, if you don't apply through the legal process, you will not be eligible for this new parole program.
In a statement, the American Civil Liberties Union said, quote, Title 42 expulsions were already an unjustifiable misuse of the public health laws. Let's be clear, nothing requires the administration to expand Title 42.
And I just want to emphasize this. We only got 20 seconds left in this video. This was the policy, guys, that got Trump called a fascist. Think about it. What made Trump different than other Republicans? When you go back and look at it, It was the border policies. When he said we need to build a wall, kick them out. The whole immigration thing is what supposed to make him beyond the pale, to the point where you're supposed to ignore the crimes of the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is taking his same policy and doubling down on that, and the squad has no criticism. The progressive left have no criticism. Let me continue the last few seconds. I'll get you guys in.
Well, it claims to be preparing for its ending. There is simply no reason why the benefits of a new parole program for Cubans, Nicaraguans, and Haitians must be conditioned on the expansion of dangerous expulsions, the ACLU said.
So I want to share this. This is a great tweet from Bree, and she said, this is entirely consistent with Joe Biden's entire political history with respect to race. And this will show how Ukrainians are offered haven in the U.S. while others wait. So they love the our dear blue-eyed, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Ukrainians. Meanwhile, the people who are victim of our foreign policy, they're being denied their legal right to asylum. This is what they used to call Trump a fascist. Now Joe Biden is getting away with it. Do you guys see how Joe Biden put the MAGA extremists to shame? What he's allowed to get away with, what he's allowed to expand. The Republican Party wish they can do what Joe Biden does on a regular basis. This is exactly the same policy that had everyone melting down on the left. Now these same people are going to be lined up to endorse Joe Biden. You guys see how this derogation of the Overton window we can now allow as people who stand in solidarity with our black and brown brothers and sisters, whether they live here or across the border. But Jay, go ahead.
Yo, this is like being at a person's house, right? And then a criminal comes in to try to kill y'all, and then you run out your house, you go bang on the door to try to get to safety, and they're like, and they're speaking through the door, sorry, you should have called me before you came over. It's like, but even though the killer's after them.
JB, the whole time, the neighbor that you banging on their door, you know what I'm saying, you trying to get safety from, they sent the killer to kill y'all.
Exactly. That's the way it is, man.
I wish we can get some footage of AOC doing that now. But once again, we're not. This is once again 100% consistent with Joe Biden's behavior. More example of him and the Democratic Party just being blatantly anti-black. They are waging and using the fascist police force to attack our communities, waging economic war against us domestically, while sanctioning and attacking people in the global South who usually black and brown who lead these social movements, and then they sanction them to death, like in Venezuela and Nicaragua. In Venezuela, 42% of Nicolas Maduro's support is indigenous, and you have a large black and brown community in the global South that our country waged war against, and then we punish them and deny them the legal right to asylum that we deserve, that we owe them, by causing havoc and wreaking havoc in their region.
Yeah, I mean, there's a really an easy solution to this. If you want to stop people from flooding the border, then get rid of the sanctions on Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Cuba. Stop the sanctions.
He said, please continue to tell me how Biden is harm reduction and the lesser to evil. I told you guys, I tweeted this literally before Biden even got elected. I tweeted every like 6 months or so. Well, I said Joe Biden is the lesser to evil, literally only to privileged white people.
Yep.
Because, and the reason why I say that, and not to poor white people, because the privileged white people need to keep the system in place. So Biden and the Democratic Party is the great tranquilizer. The people who are ready to hit the streets, the people who said we need to have civil unrest when Trump doing this, is now telling you to vote blue no matter who.
Yeah,
Tell me who's the third tool of the establishment, Biden or Trump?
Biden was sent here to save the face of the white race. It wasn't to help anybody else. Donald Trump was making white people look bad. And made a lot of white people feel guilty about like how the fuck can his racist ass be president, because a lot of y'all motherfuckers racist.
And this is
you didn't do your job. You got the nerve to call yourself a socialist, but your mama still a fucking racist. You got the nerve to call yourself anti-black and doing all these marches with Black Lives Matter. You get back in the house and your daddy calling you a N-word lover. Like you didn't even do your job first. So this is look. I'm just saying, like these people was cosplaying communists. I should call them.
This is the Green Party. I'm gonna read this. I'll move on to the nephew receipts here. Feel free to interrupt anytime. They said while the U.S. refuses to end economic sanctions, they also fail to uphold their own policy. And this is what Trump was called out. What Trump was doing by denying people right to asylum was illegal deportations, and that's what Democrats used to call it. Then Joe Biden did the same thing. They're like, oh, come on, man, we had no choice. The Republicans are making us do this. We're going to lose the elections. I'm going to cover this here soon. And this is an example how the Democrat Party are complicit with shifting this country to fascism, shifting the country to window to the right. Because then they say, oh, my God, well, the Republicans are hammering us on this, so we have to agree with them on this policy. Mm-hmm. I'll cover that here very soon. This is actually I'll put it right here. This is another receipt. Biden is throwing migrants under the bus to appease Republican fear-mongering. You guys see how me and CJ did streams about this, how neoliberalism emboldens the right. It enables fascism. It's literally a clear step to fascism. Because then the fascists are like, oh my God, you guys are making us upset. And neoliberals and liberals, they prefer the fascists instead of the socialists. So they would rather appease the fascists instead of us, so the country continue to tilt. And now you're looking at it like, oh shit, we live in a police state. Holy shit, we got homeless everywhere. You guys wondering how it happened. Because the lesser two evils ideology drove this country to the right and turned it into a hellhole.
And I was talking to a conservative about this. I was like, dude, he was like, he Democrats Biden just weak on our borders. I said, where? When?
Yes,
I had to show him. I had to pull up Google. Like, look, Biden deported more people than Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? This isn't an old article. This is, you know what I'm saying, a couple weeks ago. Instead of trying to tell him, like, look, bro, you are being pulled to the right. You don't even know it. And the reason why you're being pulled to the right is because you're not actually in politics. You're just into politics. You're not actually into politics. You don't actually care. You don't actually read the bills or listen to what these people actually are saying, talking about who they are funded by. You go by what your influencer has said. So your influencer on Facebook, Twitter, oh, they're weak on the border. When and where?
Yes. That same thing I say. I'm like, and the dumbest people in politics, I said it in a stream before, are these right wingers who believe that Joe Biden is the secret socialist, the secret the secret pro-China, Bernie Sanders controlled, and then they wonder why they failed to get the red wave. They wonder why their president Trump lost to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. No matter what they're like, oh well, I'll blame COVID. No matter what excuse you have, the reason why you guys are not able to beat these weak fucks in the Democratic Party is because they say delusional shit like that. They'll say delusional shit like, oh my God, Joe Biden and Democrats, they have the border wide open as Biden's deporting more people than Trump. They will say Biden this is what right-wing influencers say all the time. They'll say Biden is secretly owned by China. He's weak on China. We need to get Donald Trump back because Donald Trump will go work in China. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is literally sending weapons to Taiwan, reordering trade policies, doing stuff that Trump never did. And so they are completely ineffective at attacking the neoliberal clowns. In fact, they drive a lot of people. There are a lot of people who would hate Democrats, but only vote Democrats because they see these dumb right wingers.
Yeah.
Scared. So if it wasn't for these dumbasses, we'd probably be more effective at taking these neoliberals down. But I have a few more things I want to share. Feel free to interrupt anytime you guys want to chime in. There's a lot to break down the story. And CJ, if you have anything you want to throw in, feel free.
Yeah, I'm preparing some stuff in a few minutes.
Yeah, this is before country music became a genre for bootlickers. This is Willie Nelson. Before country music in 9/11, when it was like "Free America" and all the fucking crazy terrorist songs they used to make. Then after like 9/11, there was a clear shift where it was like, "We gotta love America. I'm a patriot." Back in the day, they used to criticize the shit out of our government. And this is Willie Nelson, who said, "The enemy is not the refugee. And this is what right-wing populists want to think. Like, this Mexican immigrant, this Haitian immigrant, this Venezuelan immigrant is not responsible for your boss stealing your labor value. And there's nothing you can tell me to convince me otherwise. It had nothing to do with the police beating the shit out of us. They are not our enemy. Mm-hmm. Your enemy is not the refugee. Yep. Your enemy is the one who made him a refugee. Said Willie Nelson back when country music actually used to be based.
Yep.
Back when they actually used to rage against the machine and all that shit.
But
go ahead. I know you guys want to talk. Go ahead.
They did the same. I was just about to speak on Rage Against the Machine because these a lot of the older whites, they did the same shit with Rage Against the Machine. Now that they became more conservative in their lifetime, they looking back at Rage Against the Machine like, what the fuck, you guys hate the government? Like, who the fuck is we raging against? What machine is we raging against? Did you listen to the song, motherfucker? So now, like you said, just like Democrats, Republicans go off a lot of vibes, you know what I'm saying? And it might not be good vibes, you know what I'm saying? It might be rowdy or whatever, but it's all vibes. It's no education. There's nobody actually breaking down what these bills actually do. Because if they was actually educated on what's going on, they would know why some of their neighborhoods just as poor as mine when we didn't have a head start. We didn't have a head start. Y'all people had a head start. Who took that away? If they was educated on politics for real, they wouldn't be conservatives in the first place.
It's interesting because if you look at the history, the term redneck is actually a pro-worker term. Yeah. It was actually coined when there were coal miners who actually worked for the coal mines, and they had worker solidarity against the big bosses. So to show their solidarity, they took red bandanas and put them around their necks, and they coined the term redneck. Rednecks, true rednecks, are actually pro-worker, and they actually do not like big business. And they're anti-cop. How do you think the hell NASCAR came in? NASCAR was originally anti-cop because they were, during the Prohibition movement, they actually souped up their cars so that they could actually outrace the cops in their cars, and that's how NASCAR was born.
Shooting cops. Like country music, they used to write songs about shooting cops all the time, and then after 9/11, they wrapped in the American flag.
But remember, this is why they put up a fight. You know what I'm saying? This is why they made us fight, because we have too much in common. The rednecks and the gangbangers, the niggas in the hood, we have way too much in common. Anti-government, anti-cop. We might not like each other from afar because of what we heard on the TV, what we seen and heard on the TV and radio. But once we actually talk to each other, like, well, this nigga ain't that much different. I mean, you white, but we are poor. You know what I'm saying? Your kid go to my school. Like, how different can we be, right? So then they like, all right, we gotta, you know what I'm saying, make these motherfuckers hate each other. How can we do that? Make these white people feel like they are more important, even if they are just as poor, even if they are just as hungry, even if they are poor. Being a black, make them feel like they are more, make them feel like, you know what I'm saying, they are like these people are inferior to them. So now we're dealing with the fake rednecks who took over this movement of the you know what I'm saying, or the workers that was anti-police, anti-government, and now everybody's a fucking patriot. Everybody waving a conservative flag. What? Get the fuck out of here. Y'all niggas is brainwashed just as well as we was.
There's a lot of great receipts, and I'm gonna end this little mini segment on this. This is a tweet from Erica. She said the biggest travesty in American music is the fact that conservatives stole country music and made it into cringy, pro-church, mud troops, and blue lives matter trash when it used to be anti-establishment, pro-worker, and incredible. And then she posted the lyric. I'm not gonna sing this whole thing, but it used to be extremely pro-worker. They used to talk about shooting cops all the time. They used to reject the belief of bowing down to the state. Like, the whole idea of patriotism. They used to laugh at it like, no, fuck you, I'm a rebel. I'm not a bootleg. Now it's completely the exact opposite, especially after 9/11, which is 100% psyop. The same way that we made the argument that the CIA infiltrated rap, I'm sure you can make the same argument about country, the same about rock. Now, rock. Go ahead, Rome. I know you want to try to go ahead.
I was just about to say that, bro, because look what happened when our celebrities speak for us. Our movements get co-opted, and we don't even know where they go. So now we have the original rednecks probably somewhere in the middle of fucking Alabama pissed the hell off because They, you know what I'm saying? They really invented this way and this and that. This ain't the real shit. Just like our OGs do. You know, this ain't rap. This ain't, we used to educate. We used to try to get people off of drugs and out the street. It's the same shit. They are promised fortune and fame, and you know what I'm saying? They are threatened to get those things taken away. Like somebody in the comments said, they did this shit to Dolly Parton. They did this shit to a lot of motherfuckers who spoke up. A lot of people who spoke up and spoke out. But and now people like, all right, I'm not about to lose what I made. Man, wait.
Yeah, I have a few more things I want to share, and then I'll pass it to you guys for the next segment. Yeah. A few more things to wrap this segment in the book. I still got a lot to explore on this. Now, we explain how, and this the theme of this segment is Biden's foreign policy is exactly like Trump. And when you look at his stance on Israel, when you look at his stance on China, the fact that he escalated and doubled down on Trump's hardline stance on Iran, everything that Donald Trump did and the Democrats used to criticize, they are for being a bootlicker to Saudi Arabia, giving them immunity, and his war against Cuba. Like you had Barack Obama that was walking this back, and then Donald Trump took over, and then liberals like, oh my God, this is so horrific. But they used Trump and they used his spectacle as an excuse to get back on the path of the empire. So Joe Biden was like, the Trump shit, what he doing in Cuba? He's on some pussy ass shit. I can make it worse. The same thing he said with everything else. He said, Trump, you on some pussy shit. I can make it worse. Joe, you nothing compared to Jim Crow Joe. Look at this. Cuba says Biden applies blockade even more aggressively than his predecessors. Mm-hmm. These are the headlines that the NATO left, the Biden voting left, the anarcho-Bidenists, the Vox left. They never share it to their audience. Iran, you have members, the foreign delegacy in Iran. They were like, man, when you look at Joe Biden, there's no difference between him and Trump. You have Palestinian groups that was like, man, there's been no difference between Biden and Trump. But then if we say that as an RBN media, you had the boutique left, the Vox left, like, oh my God, RBN don't want us to vote for Democrats. They're just grifters that want to help the right. Even though everyone around the world is saying that Biden just like Trump. Everyone. When you look at the policies, every foreign policy is just like Trump. Biden, I'm going to read the subheadline, Biden has maintained many of Trump's sanctions against Cuba, and he must fulfill his promise to reverse Trump's action. So he promised to reverse it, and he did not.
He ain't doing shit.
And this is another headline. As Cuban exodus continues, Biden adjusts immigration policy. This is him doubling down on the right wing. And Biden is going against the will of the world. We told you guys this. The only people who was voting against ending the Cuban embargo was Israel, the genocidal state, the United States, the genocidal state, and Zelensky's Ukraine, a genocidal state. You think that's a coincidence? And you have Bolsonaro's Brazil abstain. So you have the real assets of evil that's against Cuba. Meanwhile, the rest of the world, including many Western European countries that reject the U.S. unhinged fight against Cuba, that is rejecting them. You have China. China, you guys don't know this because CNN and the corporate media never shows you guys what other countries say. China clowns the United States on this all the time. Mm-hmm. All the time. They're like, oh, you guys think we're debt trapping people? You guys think we are using imperialism? You guys think we're aggressive? Look at what you're doing for Cuba. We stand with the right of Cubans. They do this all the time. They clown the United States on foreign policy. Why do you think they won over Africa?
You can't tell me, you can't point out a war that in the last 20-something years that China has started or been a part of that I can think of. Or maybe they put I know they put a lot of money into wars and whatnot, but I know they didn't start shit as far as I'm concerned. Man, and now we have BRICS. You know, and America is the reason why BRICS is here in the first place. This is the result of all their bullying. This is the result of the imperialism. You gave these countries no other choice but to band together and basically make a what's that thing on the Power Rangers?
Megazord.
Yeah, Megazord. You know what I'm saying? International Megazord to defeat this fucking this capitalist fucking monster. Like it's crazy, but it's American fault. Why are they gonna lose any fucking way?
Yeah. So this is another example of the U.S. actually being the rogue state. They want to say Russia and China the rogue state. No, it's the United States. Now you have people in the Hispanic caucus. This only got like 2 more receipts. People in the Hispanic caucus is like, man, should I call out Jim Crow Joe for this obvious Trumpism, or do I be a nice little Democratic Party shill? We obviously see what the squad has done. You haven't seen squad made a funk over this. In fact, the squad, everyone except AOC, because she was the rotating hero, every single one of them voted to expand ICE and DHS. So they know what they're fucking doing. They're complicit with this. So let me read this. Now I'm gonna move on with my segment. Hispanic caucus split between rage and lukewarm reception to Biden's new border plan. This is where Joe Biden and the party bosses, because unlike the Republican Party, they don't believe in any sort of democracy or dissent. They're like, we dare you motherfuckers to say, yeah, I know I'm doing the same thing Trump is doing. Dare you to say something about it. So that's why they're torn.
They're going to lose their seats. They're going to lose committee spots. They're going to lose loyalty from other fucking war criminals. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, dog, they always pull out some excuse. And it's so funny, man. Like, I'm not wishing death on anybody, but if the tables turn, and when they do turn, y'all motherfuckers gonna get everything y'all deserve. All that writing off people's lives for people's jobs, all that. Oh, it's just that they gotta do this. You gotta play by the rules in the party, all that shit. No, you writing off people's lives. Let's see what happens when China or Russia has that type of power and they want to invade the United States and we disable. What's gonna happen? You think those people are gonna be like, oh yeah, just go ahead, kill their ass, like how we was doing? Hell, fuck yes, they are. You deserve it. Y'all wrote off people's lives, and not only that, y'all sit here and voted them in the next fucking term and said this is the best that we got, and then they went right back to killing their people. Shame.
This is I'm sorry, I can't see you guys, so I'm not trying to interrupt. But this is a quote from Castro. From Texas. I was looking for some critical ones. I saw some mealy mouth shit. And one of them was like, as a nation of immigrants, like we must have humane, efficient, professional immigration systems. Like, so they're using a lot of bullshit. Like this statement says really nothing here. And they said the Congressional Hispanic Caucus welcomes the administration's efforts. Like, this is bullshit, man. So then I went down, and there are a few people who are more forceful. Castro here. I am deeply disappointed to see the Biden administration extending failed Trump era immigration policies that exacerbate chaos in irregular migration at the southern border. So Castro, that's one I see here. I was looking for the squad. I see Pramila Jayapal. Look at this bullshit. They said Pramila Jayapal. They was taking a more forceful tone, and the forceful tone was. She said, I hope Biden reconsider this proposal. Wow.
What?
So strong. So forceful. I hope you.
What?
So they even tried to make it sound better than what. They're like, Pramila Jayapal, she said, can you please reconsider this proposal? And then there's a forceful tone. What?
Oh, gosh.
However, the new DHS proposal also includes expanding the use of Title 42, a public health law weaponized by Donald Trump to deny legal rights to asylum seekers, as well as potential regulations that restrict the legal right to seek asylum. That is unacceptable. The reason why this is bullshit is because you voted for you. Look at this. The new DHS proposal. Who voted for more DHS funding? You dumb fuck. You guys see how Pramila is meant to be dumb? Why are you voting for this then? Everyone except AOC, because she was a rotating hero, and then you had Rashida Tlaib who voted present. Everyone else voted for it. What do you think you were voting for? You think they was giving them more money for no reason? Jayapal? Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, I think this is the last one. What was this one? This is not loading. Oh, Jesus. I think this is pretty much the same receipt I was trying to show you guys. Here it is. Yeah, that's the Cuban blockade. So yeah, I think I'm done. Oh, here's the China receipt. This is him changing decades of China trade policies. Foreign policy is exactly like Trump. Mm-hmm. And this is the campaign lie through to the last thing I can add to this segment. Biden pledged during his 2020 presidential campaign he would try to reverse the failed Trump policies that inflicted harm on Cubans and their families. Do you guys understand why it is worse when Democrats lie about this shit? Because this shows that the Democrats know what they're doing is bad.
And they know their party don't want it overall. They know the people don't want it overall.
Yes. They know people don't want it. Then they do it, and then they make bullshit excuses. At least the Republicans, they will say, well, we do this Cuban blockade because it's good for the Cuban people. They will bullshit people. This shows that Democrats know they are outright wrong, but they still do it. They still do it. But anyway, I think that's the last receipt I have on this story. I can go on day on this stuff.
But what's your solution, Nick? What would you do? Huh? Why did you run for office? Won't you see how hard it is?
Yeah, see, that's we can get to next story. Make sure you check your audio.
I can't hear you, CJ. I can't hear you, CJ. What's going on?
Yeah, make sure you check your audio. I'll read the super chat here real quick. Thank you for the $5.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Go ahead.
Bougie City folks have discriminated on me and my family more than rednecks, clutching their purses even though we live in the same building. And once again, I shared this anecdotal experience many times, and I'm sure many people in customer service can advocate for me on this. I had conversations with many people. I sold cars for 3 years. I sold phones for like another 2 years. And I live in Missouri. I'll get these redneck people with generational wealth. They're like, yeah, I want the F-150. And we get along. We have a good ass time. There's like a clear understanding that there's a cultural difference. And then I will be with these snobby, rich white liberals that voted for Amy Klobuchar. These were the worst customers, the worst, most racist, most scumbaggest customers that you will run into are these overly educated Wall Street finance liberal tech fucks, right? And I when I was in South Carolina, I literally had Sosa's gear on, talking to rednecks and conservatives, and they would just have friendly debates with me. And I would run to like a Elizabeth Warren supporter, and they would slam the door in my face. So this is anecdotal. But in my personal experience, when it comes to these wealthy white liberals, they are way more openly antagonistic than like the redneck, because there'll be like almost understanding, like, yeah, we're different from each other, so let's just keep it at pleasantries. So we just keep it at pleasantries. Meanwhile, liberals are just fucking. Anyway, hopefully some people can relate to that. That's just my own experience with that. Go ahead, guys. I think
any other super chats?
Yeah,
any other super chats?
My bad. I was down in Florida. We were trying to get marijuana passed. We were trying to get marijuana legalized down there. It failed that time, of course. But I had a Bernie Sanders shirt on, Bernie fucking Sanders shirt on, and the conservatives, they come up and talk to me. They come up beside my board just to come and have a conversation, just have a debate. We always damn near always leave on good terms. Whatever, never had a heated debate. There's one chick. It's like she first she grabbed my board. There, like I had my jacket on like this, but she looked at my shirt. She, what's your shirt say? It's like, oh, you were Bernie Sanders? Oh no. And I was like, so who you for? She's like, I'm with Hillary Clinton, and he basically just go through the whole fucking random ass white chick. Could have been no taller than 5'5". I'm looking at her like, lady, if you don't give me my board back and get the fuck out my goddamn face, I don't give a fuck about no motherfucking Hillary Clinton. So I was like, hey, if you want to support war criminals, that's you. I need my board back though.
Yeah,
That's the slay. All right. All right, so I forgot to do this earlier, so let's make sure we zero in on this. Substack. Join our Substack if you want the link to our Discord. Our Discord is over 330 people already. I can't believe that. So if you want the link there, you can get it. If you're a Patreon paying member or paying supporter, I think that's the right word. If you're one of those. Oh, we just got an email for our. Oh, let me just do this just to shout out people who are actually watching. John. Matthew I'm sorry, not Matthew. Matthew is responding to me, but John sent out an email during the stream about 20-30 minutes ago during the stream. So I know you're watching. Thanks for the email about volunteering. But anyway, join our Substack just so you can get notifications when we go live, just so when you can get notifications of our clips. And we try to do 3 or 4 clips a day. So make sure you do that. Like the stream. We're approaching 550 people watching, but we're only at about 325 likes. Can we bump that up by another 75? So 75 more people. Hit that like button. Also, the last thing before I get into the segment here, our website is up. Go check it out. We'll be adding on, but this is what the front page looks like when you go. And I love what it says on the front page. Strategize nationally and organize locally. And that's what our chapters are going to be sort of attempting to do. We're nationally RBN, but we're sort of each individual location does have a little bit of a different focus. And go ahead, Nick, if you're going to say something.
You finish your announcements, and I'm not even gonna do a story. I just want to do an update real quick on the FBI.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead with your
I want to share
update.
this. It's not even a segment, but I do want to give you guys a reaction. And this is part of the Overton window shift that we were talking about. Look at this. This is breaking news. I saw this tweeted less than an hour ago. Breaking: the House just voted in favor of forming a new subcommittee that will be chaired by Jim Jordan to investigate the weaponization of the FBI, DOJ, and the rest of the federal government. Every Republican voted yes. Every Dem voted no.
Man,
when they say every Dem,
flipping.
that includes the progressives. So they just voted against a subcommittee to investigate the FBI in the Department of Justice.
They just giving us content every day. We don't want to cover these clowns, man. Every day we don't want to cover them, but they are literally strike break one week and then a vote this week. It's like every week we have to cover these just
now
clowns.
They're pro FBI. The squad is outwardly pro FBI. I'll get you guys back in here. I saw
so now we know they'll vote against defund the police. Now we know that.
They just did. That's law enforcement. Like there's no plan. And I wrote an abolition. I'm part 10 demands. There's no plan of abolition. Like, let's leave the FBI alone.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't. So if you vote for FBI, if you vote to uphold FBI, you are antithetical to defund the police in abolition. But go ahead, JB.
Yeah, that also includes Miss Defund the Police, Cori Bush. She actually voted to not investigate the FBI. That tells you everything you need to know.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. And here's Glenn Greenwald. A core plank of the Dem Party is unifying state and corporate power to censor their adversaries and critics from the internet. But an equally high priority is to shield the U.S. security state from investigative scrutiny because they perceive accurately that they are their allies. And what does that say, CJ?
Fascism.
The squad, Cori Bush, Ilhan Omar and them, they view the intelligence agencies as their allies. Wow. What? Wow.
Just terrible. Just terrible. And I like what you just did with that short story. Let me do another one because this wasn't going to make it in. But friend of the show, we want to shout out in solidarity. Also, just even if it wasn't his wife, but this is Danny Haifeng talking about this strike. Now, you may have heard of this strike, not even through Danny Haifeng, but his wife is actually one of the striking workers. My wife is on strike. She is one of the 7,000 plus New York nurses demanding better conditions from Mount Sinai, one of the richest hospitals in the country. Here is a top union leader explains the union's top priority, staffing ratios that protect the safety of nurses and patients alike. So I just wanted to make sure we shout this out. And I'll play the video. I don't even think it's 30 seconds, but let's play the video and then we can get to the regular segment here. Let me see how loud it is. Oh. Oh. I don't know if I can hit this full screen.
National Hospital has over 500 nursing vacancies.
Let me see if I can expand it here. Oh, I guess not. It comes back to the same thing. So we'll just watch the last minute.
We are one union, united to win. We are 42,000 persons joining together to advocate for our patients. So respect and quality care for all her patients, regardless of their zip code, regardless of their immigration status, regardless. Yes! What do we want it? Now! What do we want? Say something!
Now, if it was very hard to hear for you and very, not audible, I'll just tell you a couple of things she said was that a patient is a patient, whether immigration status or not. So that was one thing I could clearly hear her say. And also what Danny talks about is the staffing ratios is essentially what we also found out during the pandemic, is that all these beds have been trimmed down because capitalism says it's not profitable.
Yep.
That's what happened. And they're just trimming down. And, we don't need that. Why? What do we need to have a lot of people at an emergency room? This is why you go to an emergency room. It takes longer at an emergency room than an appointment. It's crazy because they don't care. They don't care at all. They're going to give you the bare minimum. Next thing is going to be a robot there taking you in. And there's no human. Go ahead.
That's why people who invest in capital and own capital should not be in control of critical infrastructure. Yes, I said it. Yes, I am a Marxist. This is the result of capitalism. But why do capitalists see road workers striking? They see teachers striking, road workers because safety problems, because they're being worked to death. Teachers in New York are striking. Nurses are striking. You got all these industries striking. Customer service workers striking. Starbucks workers striking. Amazon workers striking. What do you call this? This is a system that's falling apart. But people who still want to dance around the edges. Oh, I don't want to use the S word. I don't want to use social. I don't want to say I'm a communist. The system and central planning model of capitalism has failed. The idea you're going to have critical infrastructure, which is healthcare, in charge of people who own capital and their only investment is in capital makes no sense. That makes no sense. Yes, you can own stuff. We're not taking your TV. But why the fuck do you need to own the healthcare industry? Why do you need to own gas and oil and gas? Why do we need people owning housing? Let me read this, and I'm explain. And then you guys see what I'm talking about. I'll pass to you, Jay, because I know you want to chime in. And this is more details on the nurses' strike. Jed said he generally attends 8 to 10 patients at a time, twice the ideal number in the units where he worked. And then nurse practitioner, another nurse, Juliet, said sometimes she skipped bathroom breaks to attend to patients. Ashley, who says she works 12-hour shifts that often stretch to 14 hours because short staffing forces her and others to work overtime. So I'm asking you guys, for people who believe that emphasis on capital is a good central planning model, how does it benefit a society to short staff healthcare positions?
Right.
Except there's only one reason. That is to generate profits for people who own capital.
Yep. There's a point that I made about a week or so back. I was talking about an article at a World Socialist website where New York University, NYU, their hospital are literally favoring rich patients over poor people. And people who are part of the board or the board of trustees, if they have a medical emergency, they get pushed to the front. If somebody is rich and wealthy, they get pushed to the front of the line at NYU hospital. And so people want to talk about, we have socialized healthcare. If we have universal healthcare, that means there's going to be people in lines. They already are people in lines. We already have it. And then I also said this, because Newsflash, I'm disabled. I'm on kidney dialysis. I go to the hospital between 4 and 5 times a year. So this is very important to me. But I also say Medicare for all or single payer healthcare is actually a little too weak for me. And I say that because even if we had a single payer healthcare system, was to say that hospitals, medical device manufacturers, and big pharma won't shaft our government and price gouge our government, basically us, into making an extreme amount of money, when it comes to our government. So I think that also it should be government ran, nationalized, our hospitals, our medical device manufacturers, big pharma, all these. And so this just goes to what you were saying, Nick, about how we, profit motive should not be in the healthcare industry at all. And it should not be profitable.
And that's where all mistrust come from. And this is why I like to talk to right wingers, because I can use their own ideology against them. A lot of these people are distrustful of big pharma now. A lot of them have a lot of questions on the vaccine. And I want to have a conversation with these people because why do you mistrust the vaccines? Let's break this down. And this is why I love having these slow conversations with people. The conservatives and people who are questioning, I wouldn't say conservative, but people who are generally questioning big pharma, they believe that Bill Gates and our government want to sell you vaccines. Why would they want to do that? Because you are mistrustful of the profit motive with the vaccine. So a lot of people who are questioning the vaccine, they say, well, the reason they don't care about the health of the people, they just want to sell as many vaccines as possible. So your mistrust of the government comes from the profit motive. There's a lot of people that don't even understand that. If you eliminate the profit motive and we're in control and we own the means of production, that mistrust is not there because you have a infrastructure that is about the public good instead of making a few motherfuckers rich. That's where my distrust comes from. That's why I was questioning the COVID narrative. That's why we question, because I don't trust these big pharma executives that were making record profits. I think they're doing it for profit. So we eliminate that on very essential infrastructure that eliminates that. Go ahead, CJ. Go ahead.
Let me chime in because we are essentially talking about exchange value versus use value. So look this up for Marxism. Look this up for those that, and you can look this up on our channel. In the I Am Revolution series, Why Communism? Exchange value, there's a section where we talk about this, where we essentially, when people say, you want to own my toothbrush, this is what capitalists want to confuse workers to believe about socialism.
Yeah, exactly.
You want my toothbrush? Yeah. No, possessions and ownership of companies is not the same thing. And we're talking use value versus exchange value. You are using a sweater. You're using it. That is your possession. Use value. No one has a problem. The part that capitalists hate about us, about Marxism, is we want to get rid of exchange value. You're just producing chickens. You're just producing chicken company to sell them. So when they go bad, where do they go? That could have been for a person. You see the waste? Where exchange value, there's so much extra waste because they're producing just to put on shelves to buy. And then it's like, what do you think that happens to all those chickens that have those expiration dates that don't get sold?
Hey, CJ,
it's literally thrown away. And then there's people all over the world that can't eat. This is capitalism. Go ahead, JP.
I just wanted to add to your point. There's a difference between personal property and private property. And this is something that a lot of people don't realize. Personal property is the stuff you have in your house, the stuff that you use, the stuff that you buy in order to use. Private property is owning the means of production. It could be a store. It could be a factory. Hell, it could be, it could be a shop. And the thing is that owning the means of production basically means that you own and determine and you make things based on a profit motive. And because of the profit motive, you're willing to do some nefarious things, not just to yourself and your workers, but also to your community in order to make more. Versus personal property, it's just the stuff that you use every day. So,
man, look at JV, man. That's all that theory reading he does on the channel. Man. I tell you, man, JV's on the channel reading theory, man. He's playing shit better than I do now. Like, man, JV's on fire, man. You guys should subscribe to JV channel because he breaks that shit down all the time. That's why I was like, man, look at JV, man. JV, man. Anyway,
I do it for you, Nick. I'm doing it to make you proud.
I like JV on my channel back in the old days, man. Tell you, man, I'm smile ear to ear hearing that. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, this U.S. setting trap for China. This is actually going to probably be a short segment, so whoever's next, probably get yours ready. It's probably going to be a short because I'm going to read this. We're going to probably comment, and then we'll be done with this segment. But U.S. setting a trap, like this is so crazy how the U.S. is like, you know what type of bully you got to be like this is U.S. is like a kamikaze bully. Like, I'm going to be at the top of this shit or but everybody dies. And that's essentially our foreign policy. But let me read this. U.S. military setting the theater for war with China. In a remarkable frank interview with the Financial Times yesterday, the top U.S. Marine general in Japan declared that U.S. NATO successes against Russia and Ukraine were a product of advanced planning and preparation. Setting the theater. You remember the Minsk agreement? That's all was theater. Remember how they just came out there? So they're alluding to that there. But setting the theater for a war for war in military jargon. That was exactly what the Pentagon was doing in Japan and Asia, he explained, in preparation for conflict against China over Taiwan. And here's a quote, "Why have we achieved the level of success we've achieved in Ukraine?" Lieutenant General James Byerman, I think that's how you said Byerman, asks rhetorically. A big part, that was the end of the quote. A big part of it, he explained, was that after what he termed Russia aggression in 2014 and 2000, that's funny. He calls when they cooled the Ukraine Russia aggression time. That's funny how he says that, but we earnestly got, and this is another quote, "We earnestly got after preparing for future conflict." This is 2014, people.
Yes.
We earnestly got after preparing for a future conflict, training for Ukrainians, pre-positioning of supplies, identification of sites for which we could operate, support, sustain operations, end quote. And now we're trying to project like we cared about Ukraine when they was planning this already, Nick.
Yeah, I just said the same thing.
Everybody there.
I'm like, dude, you can't. You honestly believe the U.S. gives a motherfucker about the people in Ukraine? You are out of your mind. If the United States cannot get anything out of it, they're not putting anything into it. Same reason why they don't give to their black communities in their own state, in their own country, because they're damn sure.
That is true.
Look, we did nothing but fund war, fund fascism, fund death. When is it? Do we stop and take a look in the mirror and say, maybe the government is lying, and maybe I'm a goddamn fool for believing these people? We just got out of a war with Afghanistan. We're still in a war with the Middle East. I don't care what nobody's saying. We're still in these wars that was based on lies. We use a nuke based on a lie. So now is the government telling me the truth? Now do they actually care? Or is it that you've been programmed to hate Russia so much that you just don't even give a fuck who, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even give a fuck about the deaths and the lives, you know what I'm saying, that's being destroyed. Oh, I care about the people of Ukraine. So let's make these children soldiers to go fight one of the toughest, strongest armies that we have on the earth today. You people are psychopaths.
I'm glad that you did this story, CJ, because this is almost like, I don't know if you even realize, but this is almost like a sequel to a story that we did before. This is the planned aggression by NATO against China. And I'm gonna share you guys a few headlines, and I can get back to that story if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
I'm gonna just interject these here real quick because I had a few things I want to say. This is a story that we covered before on how the United States pretty much runs NATO. They're the largest contributor to NATO. They pretty much run their political machine. And you had the United States that put a lot of pressure on other NATO countries to become more anti-China. And there was a debate over this because now the United States, under Joe Biden, policy is becoming so unhinged that there's some people in NATO that were starting to question, like, Wait, I thought the number one enemy was Russia. What now? China? So now I'm gonna read this part. Now we covered this before, CJ. Now I'm gonna read the update. You provided a good one as well. It said, indeed, looming over the entire debate is the question on whether China even merits so much attention right now. So I want you guys to understand, this is not even coming from the perspective of a leftist. These are people who are largely imperialists, largely capitalists, Western chauvinists, but they are just questioning the strategic move of going after China, right? So it's not like a like based on principle, like for us.
Oh, morals. Yeah, it's not a moral reason.
That's gonna make me money.
So
I'm gonna lose money.
So when you understand that, that shows you how unhinged the U.S. neocons are, the Anthony Blinkens, the Lloyd Austins, right? So let me continue this statement. They had questions about whether China even merits so much attention right now. War is raging in NATO's backyard. Russia is not giving up their revanchist ambition. You see the perspective? But so even in their perspective, NATO is insane. Now, this is this guy, Joseph Perel, who I wonder where his position is now. Wonder what they threatened this guy with, because he's saying shit that you would never, ever hear a U.S. leftist say. Remember this guy? We covered him before. He said NATO was not conceived for the operations in the Pacific Ocean. It's a North Atlantic alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And Joseph, I've seen this name so many times, I'm starting to recognize, like, this guy, he like this guy in NATO that's like, you guys are going crazy. I don't know his story. I didn't look into this guy. But what's the follow-up? You already show how NATO is definitely escalating their war against China. Look at it. Now this is the update. NATO nations grow more receptive to U.S. pleas to confront China.
The fuck y'all gonna do?
So the neocons in NATO won, as CJ is explaining as well. Look at this tweet by Ursula von der Leyen, one of the most unhinged imperialists that has a major position of power, president of the EU. And she do this tweet that's anti-Russia. I'll breeze over that. It says, since the start of the Russian war in Ukraine, EU-NATO cooperation only grown stronger. Today, with the new joint declaration, we bring our partnership to the next level. Some bullshit. But this is the important part. Look at this. Europe's security is under threat. This is reflected in the wish of Ukraine and Israel to join NATO. The Russia threat is the most immediate, but not the only one. We witness China's increasing attempts to reshape the global order to its benefit. What? Who are you talking to? CJ, who is she talking to? The Europe security is under threat.
Who is she talking to?
She cites Israel and Ukraine, and she's talking about how China is reshaping the global order, so we must resist. And these are the people that the dumb left says is a defensive alliance. You guys see how crazy this is? But go ahead. I know.
The whole thing about NATO was they was not supposed to move east. That was the whole fucking thing. And now you got Putin looking out his fucking curtains, looking in the backyard, like, what the fuck is NATO doing over there?
Right.
Oh shit, he's killing Russians. Oh well, let's protect our people. He didn't come when they first called, but Putin is only there because of the people of Ukraine. That is a fact. Because of the leaders of Ukraine at that time called on them to try to stop the shelling of their people. That is a fact. Putin went over there and stopped the shelling. Then the U.S. was like, yes, this is a great time. This is a great time to start this motherfucking war because we've been trying to overthrow his punk ass for years now. Come on now. And let's look at it like they call Putin a dictator, but our people stay in power just as well and just as long as Putin. And not only that, they jump up ranks. They would jump, like I said, when they lose these elections, when these rhinos and these fucking dinosaurs lose their fucking elections, that's not a loss, that's a break. Because they're gonna go run for a higher position, and more likely they're gonna fucking get it because you all are idiots, all you voters. And shout out to Chris who made these fucking these edibles.
Let me finish reading here, and then we can kind of close this with your last comments. But there's another quote. There's a lot of quotes in here. And I picked this. I wanted to do. I was like, you know what? We could save this for tomorrow, but I want to have it for because I know this is a story typically we cover on the Nick and CJ show. But I wanted Rome because a lot of people don't know. Like Rome is pretty freaking well versed on foreign policy. People don't know that he is, but anyway, and JB also. But Rome, a lot of people may know about JB, but people don't know Rome is pretty well versed in foreign policy. But let me continue with this quote. We call the setting the theater. We call that setting the theater, and we are setting the theater in Japan, in the Philippines, in other locations. End quote. In other words, the U.S. is setting a trap for China by goading it into taking military action against Taiwan in the same way that it provoked Russia. It was just trial. The Ukraine thing is just a trial for the bigger show. Into invading Ukraine from the U.S.-backed coup in 2014.
Who is saying
that toppled a pro-Russian government? Let me go back up to his name. Lieutenant General James Berman.
History repeats itself. And one thing that the U.S. government is trying to take advantage of is the weak spot that Ukraine is. Russia has been invaded through Ukraine before, and they're trying to use that back door. They're trying to use the back door that Ukraine is to get to there. And it took a lot of brainwashing. It took a lot of funding. It took a lot of shit. But they are there now. They're not going to get what they want. They're not going to win against Russia, but it just sets up the next step. Now, like we know Ukraine, they're dead. Their armies are dead. This isn't them on the ground. We have Americans on the ground. We have people from the UK on the ground. We have people from Australia on the ground. We have boots on the ground. But now it's going to set the tone for the real war, because right now, Russia, their army isn't even on the ground right now. It's private militaries right now that's fighting NATO. And once all this smoke clears, the shit really going to hit the fan. And it's going to be NATO versus Russia, the real Russian military. But y'all see.
And you have a lot of people on the NATO left who made the argument that, like, well, you guys say that the West is amassing NATO troops and Russian border. That's just hysteria. Of course, the West wouldn't do anything to Russia. And they just ignore the fact that literally under Donald Trump, as they were calling Donald Trump a Putin puppet, they were launching cyber attacks in Russian infrastructure. The CIA was. I reported on this a long time ago. That you had the West literally attacking the Russian financial infrastructure with cyber attacks, military bases pointing all at it, them openly opposing them geopolitically, trying to overthrow their allies, and then you got dumb Western shoulders like, oh my God, why would Putin be nervous with NATO encroaching on his border? Motherfuckers in the West would do way more with way less provocation, and they know it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a point. Chip Walker says, can you imagine a Chinese invasion of Taiwan as a very small island would be overrun by millions of soldiers within a day? The idea that Taiwan could stage a Ukraine-like resistance is cray. Just to add some context. So if China were to invade, quote unquote, invade Taiwan, that would be like the United States invading Alaska. Invade? How can you invade one of your own states? Exactly.
And to Rome's point earlier, and then I'll continue to read, when Rome was making up the historical point of where Russia was attacked through Ukraine historically, it's the same game with Taiwan and China. Literally, this article and some of the other things we've covered, Nick, in the past, like, this is literally a plan. Like, this is not like this. They're falling into this. They didn't fall in, just like they didn't fall into Ukraine. This thing they're going to be doing with China, or this thing that they're doing with China. This is a long-term plan. And this guy, Lieutenant General James Berman, is the one that's giving this plan away in this particular article. So search him. I'm curious to find out what other things this guy has said. But let me continue with the article. Lieutenant General Berman is commanding general of the 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force, or 3 MEF, and of Marine Forces Japan. significantly, the Marine Expeditionary Force is the only Marine crisis response force permanently stationed outside the U.S. Wow, I didn't know that. In other words, Bierman, maybe that's how you say it, Bierman and his Marines would be on the front lines of any U.S.-led conflict with China. Basically, this guy is, if anybody knows what he's talking about, this is the guy. This is the guy who will be on the front lines of any U.S.-led conflict with China, Nick. When you said, who is this guy? This is the guy saying this.
This is so crazy. What's crazy is
we got clowns in the freaking government is gonna kill us, man.
America already did simulations of war. Like they already did some simulations of war, how it would turn out versus United States versus China. We lost 18 fucking times. If your own strategies is telling you at the end, you're gonna lose. You have no manufacturing. You have no factories anymore. You cannot come back from a nuclear war. You have nothing. China has it all. You sold it all to them. And if China wanted to, if they wanted to play ball, man, if I was the president or a leader in China, I'd be like, you know what? Cough up that fucking debt. You want war? You want to put sanctions on me? You want to put trade blocks on? Cough up that fucking debt that you owe me.
And that was 100, like the whole U.S. China thing. This is what neocons don't understand. That's what the liberals that call for were trying to understand. They don't understand the global implications that this will cause. The reason why China backed down and didn't do anything, despite Nancy Pelosi going to Taiwan and the United States shipping weapons to Taiwan, because they were like, the United States lost their fucking mind. A war with China, especially at this point where us being the two largest global powers and China dominating global trade, will lead to a global calamity. Other countries will be forced to join because you're talking about countries' economy that will be destroyed because of the trade destruction between the United States and China. So then what side do you think Africa is going to take?
China.
What side do you guys think these countries are going to take?
China.
You're seeing it with BRICS. You're seeing it.
Yeah.
You're seeing it.
Why do you think people say this is going to be World War III? It's going to be World War III because other countries are going to have to respond. And a lot of them are not going to pick the United States. So go ahead, CJ. It's going to be.
Let me finish this out so I can take off. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, CJ.
As the Financial Times explains, the 3 myth is a quote at the heart of the sweeping reform of the military corps. I say corps. Its focus is being shifted from the war on terror in the Middle East to creating small units that specialize in operating quickly and clandestinely in the islands and straits of East Asia and the Western Pacific to counter Beijing's anti-access area denial strategy. And let me just read this last part here. The U.S. plans for war against China, known as air-sea battle, evages Sage, massive air and missile assault on China's military bases and strategic industries supported by warships and submarines. The Pentagon has been increasingly concerned about China's military ability to defend its territory and secure neighboring seas. Quote, anti-access area denial with its own missiles and Navy vessels. Amazing. I'll pass it to anyone.
I got two. Oh, go ahead, JB. Go ahead.
No, I have another analogy. You ready? So the United States going against China is like the United States being this dude that works out, but he only does chest and arms day, and he skips leg day every single time, right? And going up against China is like going against somebody who's trained in Muay Thai, see, Nick, who actually is conditioned their entire body, but they're also standing there with the rest of their boys ready to get at you. And so it's like, wait a minute, you're top heavy in the United States. You have no critical infrastructure in order to build yourself up. Plus, you're going against a country that has 1.4 billion people, and you mean to tell me that you're going to try to take them out? Wow, you have who's going to back them up? It's going to be Russia that backs him up. It's going to be now you got Brazil under a new president, so they're going to be the ones to try to back him up. Then you're going to have a lot of African countries going to back him up. So really, does the United States really want that smoke? Because if they do, they're going to cough because they're going to be too weak to go up against China because China's not going to have it.
The United States.
This reminds me of that meme. It's a meme now, I should say. Y'all ever saw it when they be like, hold on, let him get up. Fight back, nigga, fight back. They all stumble him up. But this is what's gonna happen. Because not only like our arms are stretched too far. We are across the Atlantic, the Pacific, this and that. We got weapons spaced out too far to even focus on one or two wars, especially if we are going to war with two other superpowers. Like this is
we couldn't even beat Vietnamese farmers. We couldn't beat Afghanistan people using guerrilla warfare tactics.
You want to know why?
In the United States, who can't even get people to sign up to the military anymore.
Because the military sucks, bro. The military sucks because they only are tough when the rabbit don't have the gun. You know what I'm saying? But when ISIS start getting funny and Taliban start getting their guns and everybody start getting clapped back, these motherfuckers start running. Because there ain't no fun with the rabbit got the gun. They only shooting at people. 90% of civilians and shit like that. They're not really going at the you know what I'm saying? They ain't really going after no real terrorists, quote unquote. You know, they ain't really going after nobody who want to kill them just as much as they want to kill their people. Like, let's be real. And when the American soldiers, like the American soldiers that's dying right now in Ukraine, back to back, once they see a nigga actually shooting, they like, oh shit. Oh, this is real. This is real. This is what a real war looks like. Yeah, not you just shooting at some mother carrying a grocery bag that it might have bombs in it. Not you shooting at some fucking kids. Not you blowing up a fucking school. Motherfuckers is shooting back. And this is one thing that the U.S. military isn't prepared for. Another military that will shoot back. NATO isn't prepared for another country that will shoot back. They go after rich countries with poor, weak militaries, so they can reap the benefits of the resources. But other than that, you don't never see them going after nobody who can really clap back at their ass. They go after countries in Africa, poor countries and shit like that. They ain't going after no real niggas.
Yeah. So I bet you guys. I know I got to head out. I think you guys got to stay. I don't know if you guys staying on for the next few stories, but are you staying on? JB?
I can cover my next story. I can cover
that. I know CJ had to head out. I think he had to pick his kids up or something. So I'll pass to you guys. I think we're doing Nick and CJ tomorrow as well. And I got a few guests I'm working on as well. So I got a few things that you guys should tune in for. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, support the Patreon. I think JB and Rome have one more story. So I'll pass to you guys. I gotta head out. See you guys.
Cool. All right. Take care. All right, Rome, you ready to get into this? Because we are going to go into health for a second. So one of the things that we're going to be covering is I found this story, and shout out to Roger Meadows for showing me this. It was actually covered by Crystal and Sagar of Breaking Points, but they missed a point, but I actually want to cover it myself. And so I'm going to share my screen really quick because this was actually an interesting story. And there seems to be, this is why these Black organizations that are pro-capitalist, this is why they're leading us to the slaughter as well.
That's why you diabetic.
Yeah.
And my brother.
So here is the story. So this is going to be interesting. So this is from Callie Means. Callie Means starts off with, says, early in my career, I consulted for Coke to ensure sugar tax failed and soda was included in food stamp funding. I say Coke's policies are evil because I saw inside the room. The first step in playbook was paying the NAACP plus other civil rights groups to call opponents racist. Coke gave millions to the NAACP and the Hispanic Federation, both directly and through front groups like the American Beverage Association. This picked up in 2011 to 2013 when the Farm Bill and soda taxes were under consideration. This person continues. The conversations inside these rooms were depressingly transactional. Quote, we, Coke, will give you money. You need to paint opponents of us as racist, end quote. The effort was successful, and the message was carried in the thousands of articles between 2011 to 2013. Coke's position was clear. Soda is one of the cheapest ways to get calories, a flagrantly inaccurate statement when factoring in the health consequences. I watched the FDA funnel money to professors at leading universities as well as think tanks on the left and right. Well, it should be liberal and right, to create studies showing soda taxes hurt the poor. They also paid for studies that say drinking soda didn't cause obesity. And it says the ABA has said taxes on sodas will hurt poor and local businesses while unfairly targeting one product. They also challenged a link between soft drinks and obesity, saying obesity rates have risen even as U.S. consumption of full-calorie sodas have declined. So, of course, not mentioned in these studies are the incontrovertible fact that sugary drinks are one of the top causes of obesity and diabetes, leading to harrowing statistics like this. And it talks about diabetes rates surge in U.S. young adults, study finds. Soda companies are deeply embedded in the USDA, so much so that the agency carries discredited talking points like there are no bad food, only bad diets, end quote. This ignores the fact that sugar is highly addictive and has negative nutritional value. In the end, racial tensions flared. Soda spending was kept in SNAP, that is food stamps, funding, and many of the soda taxes were defeated. Of course, this has been a disaster for low-income communities. Addictive, deadly sugary drinks should never be included in government nutrition program. People saying that restricting soda from SNAP funding is paternalistic or an assault on personal choice are unwittingly doing the work of the soda companies. You can't have a free market if the market is rigged. It says, if this resonates. Okay. So basically, the NAACP has been advocating for big sugar, essentially. And while I am a person that is about free choice, there's a component in this that I think Crystal and Sagar miss. And I'm going to be showing their comments really quick. And there's a component that we would bring out, but they haven't. So I'm going to share my screen really quick and let's listen to what they say. Now, Sagar basically just finishes reading what I read. So
that the soda companies themselves, as Callie points out, are deeply embedded in the USDA, so much so that the agency actually has talking points on its website that, quote, there are no bad foods, there are only bad diets, which, of course, ignores the world of sugar. And even the worst part that I think that he really exposes is that whenever Coke was doing this lobbying campaign, they were trying to keep soda spending inside of the food stamp program, specifically to make sure that it was available to lower income communities who disproportionately drink and eat some of the unhealthiest foods imaginable, except this part they're doing with government assistance. So the reason that I wanted to highlight this thread is because it just highlights how difficult it is for so many of us to try and parse through all of the information when the world around us is being shaped by major forces which are just trying to make money and which are really making a lot of us unhealthier. At a baseline level, I think what's so important in this thread is to just not trust so much of the meta mass cultural marketing that we're seeing from a lot of different forces. I don't want to make this into some cringe, reacting to a fat positivity ad or something. But I do want to say that when you see that, you should realize that it's part of a concerted campaign in order to make money. It's used in a way to co-opt possibly, the well-meaning notion that we shouldn't bully anybody, or you shouldn't intentionally try and make people feel bad. Of course, nobody wants to have racism exist in our society, but to combine these forces, which actually co-opt them then for profit, and to push something on you, which is fundamentally not good for you. So I'm not going to tell you what to do because I barely know what to do. I'm literally struggling with it right now myself. I will tell you, though, that you should be very skeptical of a lot of the information that is out there. There is no what Crystal just covered. There's no get rich quick scheme. There's also just no scheme in order to just lose weight immediately. It's a very concerted and difficult process. And on top of that, losing weight at the same time, trying to be sustainably healthy for the rest of your life, it's going to be one of the most difficult journeys that a lot of us are going to embark on. But the one thing that we do know is that the big food companies, and specifically the US government right now, is not on our side. Crystal, that's what I really just wanted to highlight for everybody in this thread, because it really is just disgusting and evil. And it kind of fits with that big food lobbyist nutritionist, the video that we had highlighted here previously on the show, which is, you have a concerted campaign here to basically try and keep people fat as possible. And also, I can't help but think about something, you and I have talked about as well with the healthcare system. It's not like the healthcare system is designed either to try and shield and help consumers make better choices. Instead, It's just designed to treat the most catastrophic of the problems like diabetes by, let's say, selling you insulin instead of saying, hey, insulin resistance is not a death sentence. It's not permanent. You actually can do something about it. Here are different ways that we can talk about and all that, but there's not nearly as much money to be made, or at least in the current structure right now.
People being unhealthy is very profitable for a lot of industries. And big soda and big food needs to be added to the list of when people think of evil blocks of power in society, because, some of the things that they did.
Rome, what are they missing? What is the problem?
A war on black people?
What's the overarching? Because there's an overarching theme that they keep going towards, but then
sold us the fuck out.
So the thing is that they keep going close. They keep inching closer to the actual source of the problem, but then they back away. Oh, these evil corporations, they're doing it for profit. Why? It's the profit motive. And the thing is that they keep missing this.
Because they're capitalists.
Because the thing is that...
Why do you think he beating around the bush? He's like, I don't want to be like, I don't want to go like that. I don't want to come off like that. Nigga, get to the fucking point.
Yeah.
Pussy.
My thing is look, if you're going to talk about the problem, then let's talk about the problem, okay? You're talking about, evil corporations. The thing is that all corporations are basically evil because they have the profit motive. And guess what? All these extremely important industries. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to say this. If we didn't have that issue of the for-profit motive, then would they be pushing towards organizations like the NAACP in order to prop them up in the sugar industry? Would they be doing that? No, because they wouldn't be doing it for profit. So we shouldn't be needing the for-profit industry for these things, right? And so skirting around the issue, saying, "Well, they're just the bad ones." No. The profit motive is in itself is the reason why we're going through what we're going through. And so the thing is that they keep skirting past it.
And
the crazy part.
Don't forget these corporations. They have a big hand in destroying the black community. These articles in this tweet is telling us how they plan on this helping help our leaders destroy our community, giving them money to sell us out, keep us fat, keep us, unhealthy, And nobody's just looking at it like, oh, well, NCAAP sold out the black communities of America. Nobody is saying that. Like, dude, they literally sold us out to corporations. How many more corporations is getting money? NCAAP is getting money from to sell us out. Who else is they getting money from to not speak on injustice? They only come out when you big enough. That's funny. You know, you gotta go damn near viral nowadays for them to come out to bail you out of jail or et cetera, et cetera. Well, what have they done overall? If they done this, though, imagine what else they have done with their time. Imagine how much damage they actually done to the black communities. And I'd be damned if I just sit here and be like, oh, look, let's just skim over that part because nobody cares about black people. Nobody cares about sugar. Not only them pushing crack cocaine in our neighborhoods, but sugar is more addictive than any motherfucking drug out here.
Yeah.
What did they do? I wonder how much money they took from the CIA and the FBI then to not actually push against the war on drugs, or actually push against drugs in our communities and build rehabilitation centers.
Yeah. I mean, list how many foods have high fructose corn syrup in it. There's corn in everything. You know, and my thing is like, you wouldn't have to regulate people's food or their eating habits if the profit motive in these food industries weren't, existed. If, let's say, for hypothetically, if these drink companies were co-ops and they were more focused on, yes, these things are they have sugar and they're really tasty, but at the same time, we don't want to hurt our communities, they would not be chasing that profit motive like crazy. You know what I mean? And there's an article that actually brings this out that I want to talk about as well. And this is out of the Huffington Post. And this came out in 2013. It says how Big Soda co-opted the NAACP and Hispanic Federation. And this, let me see, this says both these organizations have close ties and receive funding from the soda industry, yet both neglected to mention their financial ties to Big Soda when they spoke out against Mayor Michael Bloomberg's 16-ounce sugary drink portion cap, and when they filed an amicus brief in support of the soda industry lawsuit to halt the measure. The cap, which was approved by New York City Board of Health in September 2012, is scheduled to be implemented in April 2013. So this was years ago, about 10 years ago. But here's some of the facts. Let me make sure I make this big enough so that everybody can see. So it says NAACP in 2011-2012, the Coca-Cola Foundation awarded the NAACP $100,000 for Project Help, healthy eating, lifestyle change, and physical activity. In 2011, the Coca-Cola Foundation granted $35,000 to the NAACP New York State Conference for their education initiatives. Coca-Cola and PepsiCo were sponsors of the 2011 NAACP New York State Conference 75th Annual Convention. Pepsi was recognized with an NAACP award in 2010. PepsiCo's website says it is working with the NAACP to advance national leadership and grassroots activism. Bullshit. NAACP received a Pepsi corporate contribution for education and inclusion in 2010. Putting it all in perspective, 2011 article in a Houston Style magazine reports that since 1986, the Coca-Cola Foundation has awarded a total of $2.1 million to the NAACP, including over $490,000 to various local chapters, $578,000 to the national chapter for an annual national conference sponsorship, and $500,000 for the Legal Defense Fund, and $522,000 for the Atlanta chapter. That's just the NAACP alone. We're not even talking about the Hispanic Federation. I'm sorry.
Holy fuck! These people
Yeah.
really sold us out. So
Yeah.
man, like I said,
Oh,
these
there's
people,
more.
black and brown faces in high places, man. You never can trust them, man. You never can trust.
Now, here's the damning part. Of course, the NAACP and Hispanic Federation are not the only nonprofit organizations whose policy decisions have been called on the carpet in light of their quote unquote partnerships and funding from Big Soda. The the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the American Heart Association, Save the Children, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Diabetes Association, the American Cancer Society, and the American Academy of Family Physicians have all taken funding from the soda industry and should be continuously scrutinized. Public health attorney Michael Simon's damning report on the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics big food sponsors were just released this week. So basically meaning these foundations are also colluding with the capitalistic industries, these industries that are really out there to basically give us more salt, fat, and sugar for profit, making us more unhealthy instead of pushing more healthy options our way. That being said, this is why capitalism is a problem. And here's the thing. A lot of times people will talk about, oh, you just need to exercise more. You just need to make better food options. The thing is that some of us are fat because it's a systemic problem, not an individual problem. How many smoothies have I been having? You know, of course I need to walk more, and that's one of the things. But of course, here's the crazy part. A lot of times, a lot of these things that are pushed your way isn't necessarily your fault. And sometimes it's because we live in poverty. And so what choices do we have? I mean, I can spend $1.50, get a pack of ramen noodles way quicker than I'll get filled up on a pack of ramen noodles way quicker than I will get filled up on a bag of spinach.
Yeah, and I remember somebody pointed that out a long time ago, how it's a shame how the salads cost more than the burgers. And that's how you know they're trying to push, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to make you unhealthy as possible, you know? It's crazy, and people will be like, "Oh, just conspiracy." No, it ain't no conspiracy, motherfucker. We got receipts. We got the receipts. The government is against us. They're trying to poison black and brown communities, knowing what sugar does to the body, to the brain, after so many years. This is the outcome. Look at our community now. Look at how many black people is diabetic.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I just want to answer something. This person says, how about just drink water? Okay, so number one, how dirty is the water that comes out of our faucet? Number one, let's talk to the people in Flint and Jackson, Mississippi. Number one. Number two, how many of these industries like Coca-Cola, like PepsiCo, own Dasani, Zephyr Hills? They own Evian Water. They own all these different water companies if you want to go that route. They actually own these companies too. So guess what? You're still giving money to these big companies. So that's the crazy part. This is why I say capitalism is one of the biggest issues that we have to contend with. Yes, you do all the choices that you possibly can in order to combat it. That's absolutely true. But you also have to realize this. One of the major contenders to our health is capitalism, because it's the poor profit motive that actually counts on us being more unhealthy, so that it is a circular motion. So the food that we eat constantly will make us unhealthy, which makes us go into big pharma and into the for-profit healthcare industry, thus making us more quickly die. It's just crazy. And then on top of that,
your fat ass kids gonna do the same shit.
Yeah, and then guess what? Guess what? The healthcare industrial complex also will make money off of that too, because then they also will sell us things to make it seem more healthier in order to make these options, when really they're not really there to give us healthier options. And so it's all one circular thing. This is why the for-profit motive needs to be expunged. It needs to be, destroyed, because this is the problem that capitalism has on us as a people. So
pay to die. Basically, that's basically what you're doing because, dude, and you know, this is why I don't give tips of getting healthy. People ask me, what's your workout routine? Nothing. I was born like this, motherfucker. Everybody ain't got that, you know. So, and like my way or thoughts are even if I was big and I was like, okay, maybe you should try this, man, maybe I should shut the fuck up. Maybe it ain't my business. Maybe it ain't my business because I know that the problem comes, dog. Come to my hood. Come to my hood. You're gonna see the advertising. Cigarettes, liquor. You know what I'm saying? Fast food everywhere. You don't see Panera Bread. You don't see, you know what I'm saying, the Whole Foods. You don't see the healthy shit. That's the shit that we've been eating for generations now. And it's way bigger than, oh, maybe you just do a couple of fucking sit-ups a day. Like, no, you are unhealthy from the inside out. Like, they got your whole body trapped from the pills, the sugar, the cigarettes, even the weed nowadays, the liquor, the whole body is trapped. So even if you do lose weight, guess what? You're still a fucking addict. So you got some opinions of getting off of drugs. Then when we get off of drugs, now we gotta look at the world like it is. Oh my God. It wasn't anxiety, it was capitalism. Now I need another pill. Now I need a Xanax because fuck this world.
Yeah. I mean, hell, look at Starbucks. Yeah, so it's just the thing is that I had to bring that up because remember what Fred Hampton said. He said we're not going to beat capitalism with black capitalism. We're going to beat it with socialism, you know. And you know, you have people like the NAACP that basically sold us out because they're basically teamed up with these corporations that really want to keep us within these confines. You know, it's crazy, man.
It's literally called a project, nigga. We were born in projects. When people think about that name, when you say that name, what do you think of? Project. You people are an experiment. Yeah. You're an experiment. We're going to experiment on you, which they did, and we have documentation of them experimenting on young black children and black women, neglecting them. Look how high our people look at the rate of black women that died giving birth, and how low a percentage of they are compared to other races in this fucking country. You know, we shouldn't even be a percentage, seeing that we only 12% of this motherfucker. It's a project, and yes, your government is against you. You think your government won't kill you? Bullshit. And a couple of these people arguments about the sugar and the free market and whatnot. Look, this is what a government is for, man. If a government is not there to protect and provide for the people, you know what I'm saying? What the fuck are they there for? If they can't regulate sugar, you know what I'm saying, going into their citizens, if they can't regulate that and stop that, dude, what the fuck else they want from you?
Yeah. I mean, if they can regulate other, things that might be dangerous to us at acceptable levels, then why can't they do that for things like sugar?
They should have treated sugar like they should have treated sugar in the black communities like how they do guns in the black communities. When you see all these black people getting diabetes, getting cancer from these sugar products, y'all should have been on them. Y'all should have been on them motherfuckers like how y'all jumped on the Black Panthers.
Yep.
No, y'all paid off our leaders. Y'all paid off our leaders and poisoned our people. And now we're at where we are today.
It's crazy how, brands like Stovetop Stuffing and Mountain Dew are illegal in some European countries. Crazy. And I ain't gonna lie, Stovetop Stuffing slaps. I'm gonna be real. It does, man. All you gotta do is add some hot water and boom, you got some, and I'm just like, damn it, what? Because they make it taste that good.
I swear, I've been trying to eat healthier, man. I've been trying to stay away from so much, snacks and junk food. Like I've been drinking water more. If I'm,
me too.
Man, it's like, man, I should know better. I know better, but I should do better, especially as a Marxist, especially as a communist, living in the fucking empire. I should take care of my body more, but it's just a hell. It's just really hell, and I need drugs to survive in this fucking world because I would go crazy. I would lose my fucking mind if I wasn't high half of the time, knowing what I know. Just seeing the cop going through my neighborhood harassing people and I'm sober. No, I can't. Nah, I'll lose my mind. So I'm gonna work on that though.
Yeah, I mean, and I have to work on it more too, because being somebody that is a socialist, I can't let them take me down, through my health. And so, that's why, I got more things to do. Like I've been doing smoothies every morning whenever I can. And even still, that's still tough, because
And I'm gonna tell you a secret. Smoothies are a scam.
No, not. I'm not buying smoothies.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually making my own. Like for instance, this morning I had one with spinach, pineapple, and banana, and I add some honey, some flaxseed, chia seeds, and hemp seeds, and I make my own. I don't buy smoothies. I don't go to places to get smoothies.
Drinking fruit is the fastest way to consume the sugar from it. You can eat an apple and be straight, but if you drink that motherfucker, you're gonna, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is that if you're eating an apple versus, you're pureeing it, you're still taking in the apple anyway. So, but yeah, that's what I do. And so I'm trying to do that more, drinking a lot more water. And it's just, and despite popular belief, even though I am big, I actually like eating healthy. And the crazy part, people look at me like, oh, you eat healthy. Actually, I like healthy.
Fuck that. I'm about to see you with my dumbbells. Just get your arm big as hell. Get your arms big as hell.
See, that's the point. I can't because I have my axis here. I cannot lift. Yeah, I can't lift more than 10 pounds. So even if I want to do weight training, I can only do it like a little bit, or at least upper body. Now lower body, I can probably do that. So I'll probably try to do that more. But do a lot of leg day.
Next time we get our feet done. You have the leg like god damn. Yeah. I'm talking about juice. I'm sorry, not smoothies. Juicing fruit is unhealthy. Juicing fruit is a scam.
Oh yeah. A lot of the fruit juices that they do. Yeah. I got you. So I want to, before we get to going, I want to make sure I read some of the super chats and some comments. This is actually a good question by Eric. Says, will RBN be organizing protests? I think that's going to be a given, when we have chapters.
We're not doing no protest that isn't armed. And I don't know, like, what is your definition of a protest? Because what the protests I've been seeing lately, it's been nothing but failure. Black Lives Matter, Standing Rock is still standing the ground, but holy fuck, man. Y'all let them down. We let them down. Occupy Wall Street, all this shit. It's been nothing but failures. And I don't want to put nobody on the ground who's not going to protect themselves, who's not thinking about the future of our movement, and putting yourself out there in front of motherfuckers that'll take your life. And you're not willing to protect. If you're not willing to protect yourself, I know you're not willing to protect me. So if we're going to protest, we're going to be armed. We're going to be guarded. We're going to have medics. We're going to, be smart about this and make sure that everybody leaves untouched. And if somebody is touched, then everybody is touched. That's how we got to go at it. But we can't. Don't put Malcolm X told us, man. This the problem he had with the Million Man March. Imagine if all those black people in the Million Man March had a gun. You think those people would have been water holes? You think they would have sicked the dogs on them? Hell, fuck no. And this is how we got to look at it. Because they already been water holes. Y'all getting gassed now, even though it's fucking illegal in their own laws. They don't even use it in wars against terrorists, but they use it against their citizens. So use your firepower against your fucking government. And don't be afraid. You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid, because they ain't afraid to pull that fucking trigger. I'm telling you. And if you are afraid, don't come out.
I mean, right wings and militias, they do it when they do their protests. So, Chip Walker says, "How can the proletariat tax AOC?" Yeah, she is the rich. We need more direct action. Yeah. Yeah. Jay the Informant says, go ahead and clip that entire hair combing skit.
Oh, that's when you was talking.
Yeah. He also continues facts more in common than apart. Yep. Named My Taco says, but it's okay. Crystal and Kyle listen to hip hop. Oh man. Huey says,
Columbus, I mean, yeah, well, all the motherfucker, like, I hate those comparisons, man. Like, it just don't make no sense. Like, the white people that say some racist ass shit. I'm not racist. I got black friends. My grandson is black. You know what I'm saying? I got a black kid. Nigga, slave owners had the same shit. Slave owners had black friends.
They had black kids. Yeah. Oh,
History
man.
repeats itself, I say.
Yeah. Huey says, breaking news, classified documents were found in Biden's private office. This is similar to Trump's hoarding classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, but that's going to go under the radar. Of course it will. And then Steve says, join Discord food channel. Let's keep discussing. All right. So also, let me check on Rockfin to make sure that we get to the people who made comments on Rockfin. Let me see. All right. I saw a comment that is funny, so I think you're gonna laugh. But let me get to this real quick. All right, let me go to this chat. All right. So Drew Tech says the U.S. is setting a trap for China because their trap is set on Russia went so well. Gene Zybeck says, really, who still watches Corp News? Dick on Rockfin, I love that name. Dick on Rockfin says, shouldn't NAACP be selling brown sugar? What the hell? Gene Zybeck, thank you so much for the tip on Rockfin. All right, thank you so much for that. Declan Rockfin says NAACP gave this book an Image Award, which describes how CIA killed Malcolm X from the balcony, but since no one mentioned it ever, I'm guessing no one read it. Let me see. Dukes of Hazzard was also anti-cop.
Yeah, who the fuck they was running from the whole time? Nigga, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's fleeing and looting. You know how many times, how much jail time they should be facing? Dukes of Hazzard, man, get the fuck out of here. If that was me and my brother, we would have been that bitch for like 10 years for sure.
Yep. Let me see.
Destruction of property. God damn. Police cars beaten up because of them. Oh yeah, we would have did time. We would have did at least 15 years for sure.
Yeah. Gene Zybeck says, JB, that's what Medicare Advantage plans are. The scam. They are taking money out of Medicare, making people pay more. Yeah, my mother keeps trying to talk me into getting into Medicare Advantage, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. Only because they're like, oh, we'll give you money for food, or we'll give you money for medication. We'll give you money for this. We'll give you money for that. And so I need to put a tweet in that so that, because I need to come up with a great argument from my mother as to why I stay away from Medicare Advantage. But I know that it's basically giving myself over to the for-profit insurance industry. So Nighthawk, what is Medicare Advantage? Medicare Advantage basically takes your Medicare and puts it in the hands of the for-profit insurance industry. So basically, they're managing your care versus it just being strictly under Medicare. That's the best explanation I can give. I just know that I do not trust the for-profit healthcare industry as far as I can throw it, and I can throw it very far. So, yeah, that's what it is basically. But Rome, you got stuff coming up?
On the 16th, tour for the poor, my birthday, yo. It's gonna be my birthday. I'm turning 31.
Ooh, 31.
Yeah, I was going just chill in the dark room and sip some dark liquor, in my rocking chair. But I figured why not do something different this year? I'm gonna do something different. We're gonna be hitting 3 cities. We're gonna be doing Detroit, Michigan, my town. If you up here, help me. we're going to be doing Buffalo, New York, and Washington, D.C. all in the same day. We're going to be doing giveaways for the homeless, coast jackets, hats, gloves, blank, the works. We're going to try to help out our people as much as we can. If you are in those cities, DM me on Twitter. Unholy Rome, the E is a 3. And I'm going to get everybody going tomorrow. So everything is getting going tomorrow. We're going to be collecting all the stuff. I had a busy day. I'm still shooting. I'm still dealing with my documentary that's coming out. I got to go do some voiceovers for that. That's going to be coming out next month on the 3rd. So be looking out for that. And Oakland, Ohio. I'll be out there February, late February also.
All right. Cool. And I will be going on the Willie Bragg show this evening at 8 p.m. So be sure to go to that. I'll tweet out the link to the Willie Bragg show as well. And by the way, this Saturday, I'm going to be having on Kit Cabello on my channel. So we'll be talking about that. Stay tuned also for the Sabby and JB show this Thursday. Here is the link in the chat to my channel. If you have not went to my channel, if you want to be a subscriber to my channel, then there's my channel there.
What on no dead presidents?
Huh?
They talking about we so young. JB a little bit older than me. I ain't gonna say his age.
I don't care if you say my age, bro.
How old is you? I know you're
38. I'm 38, bro.
Yeah. You're 38. So and CJ is about what?
45.
Yeah, 45. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest. So yeah. But I know about dead presidents. I grew up with dead presidents. Talking about, man.
Yeah. So go ahead and guys get to my channel. I saw what you said, Yepex. I ain't that old. Not yet. But anyways. All right, everybody, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to go to the Substack for RBN. And thank you to all the patrons on Patreon. That link is also in the description below. And we out here. Rome, deuces, bro.
All right, man. Take care.
All right.